Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, right? With your strength, you can't escape. After 3 seconds, I will move my foot, and I suggest you stop thinking about running away. 3 seconds later, Tsunade did indeed move her foot. Gaara rubbed his head and slowly stood up. He heard what Tsunade said. Mainly because this woman is also outrageously strong, she is blocking the door here. Gaara knows that he can't escape at all. The next moment, Gaara's eyes widened. Because his feet were directly off the ground. He looked incredulously at Tsunade in front of him, not expecting Tsunade to pull this move on him. Gaara felt a kind of awkward humiliation. Because he was directly lifted up by Tsunade holding the collar of his back. Let go of me quickly. Unfortunately, his struggle in front of Tsunade seemed like a kitten flapping its limbs. Tsunade threw him onto the sickbed with one hand. Don't move around, stinky brat. Let me check how your injuries are doing. Gaara soon found out that this woman seemed to be just checking his injuries. Other than that, she didn't do anything to harm him. After Tsunade finished checking, she first nodded in satisfaction with her medical skills. Then she waved her hand dismissively at Gaara. Alright, as long as you don't move vigorously, there's nothing wrong with your injuries, little brat. Shoo, don't blindly occupy the bed in the ward. Moby Dick is such a big place, go wherever it's cool. Tsunade gave Gaara an eviction order. Gaara was stunned. This woman let him go? His first reaction was not anger, but doubt. Isn't it? Isn't this room for imprisoning him? Can he leave at any time? Gaara couldn't believe it. This woman just stopped him, just to check? That's all? Gaara was skeptical. He instinctively thought this was a trap. But he also knew that this was his only chance to get out of this room. He took a deep breath, carried the huge gourd on his back, and carefully made his way to the door. Then he looked at Tsunade cautiously again, and found that Tsunade didn't care about him at all, so he turned around and left quickly. She really didn't follow. As Gaara walked down the dim corridor, he kept looking back 3 steps at a time. What's going on? He couldn't figure out the current situation at all. In the end, Gaara made 7 turns and 8 turns in the cabin corridor of the Moby Dick, and finally came out. He saw the sunlight outside. He came to the deck. It's those guys. Gaara saw Naruto, Sasuke, and Neji at first glance. He had a very deep impression of these 3 people, because he had fought with these 3 people before. Hee, little friend, are you awake? Just then, a gloomy voice sounded from the side. Gaara's pupils shrank. He quickly turned his head to look, and found a woman with a large chest standing quietly next to him. If it weren't for her speaking, he wouldn't even have noticed someone standing next to him. Orochimaru licked his lips, glanced at Gaara with interest. TSK, if I had met you a few months ago, you might have become my backup container. It's just a pity that Orochimaru now has a better container. He looked down on gifted brats like Kimimaro and Gaara. Your name is Gaara, isn't it? Another voice sounded. The voice came from above. Gaara's face was tense. He looked up. He saw that it was a girl with brown-colored skin. She had a pair of unique wings on her back and was flying skillfully above him. My name is Fu. Would you like to be my friend? You are a Jinchuriki, and I am a Jinchuriki. I think we will definitely become good friends. Ha ha ha. Fu landed with a flap of her wings. She showed a sunny smile and reached out a hand to Gaara. Gaara frowned, did not shake hands with her, but questioned her. You are also a Jinchuriki? Fu, who belongs to the carefree faction with no mind, didn't mind Gaara's rudeness. She giggled. Yes. I am the Jinchuriki of the 7 Tails. Humphrey. Gaara gave a light hum, didn't say anything, but the astonishment in his eyes was always unable to hide. The kind of smile on Fu's face, Gaara had never shown in his life. Both are Jinchuriki. Why is her mentality so good? Hasn't she experienced some tragedies? Then why should I experience those things? Without comparison, there is no harm. Gaara was very disdainful of Fu on the surface, but in fact, he was a bit envious of Fu. Hello. At some point, A figure with golden hair suddenly appeared in front of Gaara. Gaara was scared and his hair stood on end. Gaara stared at Naruto. You? His impression of Naruto was very deep. Because it was Naruto's one hit that shattered his big gourd and almost killed him. Naruto scratched his head, grinned and said, haha, sorry. I used a little too much force before. This gourd was repaired by Sister Shizu for you. Sasuke walked over with his arms folded. He looked at Gaara. There is no killing intent as before. It seems that after fainting a few times, he was finally learned his lesson. Gaara's forehead was full of blue veins. Although Sasuke's tone didn't mean to provoke, the ambiguity of this sentence was too great. Neji also came over. You are strong. He said seriously to Gaara, we can spar again if we have the chance. Gaara didn't speak. He always felt that the atmosphere was strange. Why didn't these pirates have any hostility towards him? Didn't they regard him as an enemy before? And Gaara found that the attitude of these pirates was incredibly good. He had never seen such friendly people in Hidden Sand Village. But in the Whitebeard pirates, he saw a group of friendly people. This made Gaara feel a very strong sense of disconnection. It made him feel unreal. Gaara. It wasn't until Whitebeard's loud laughter sounded that Gaara came back to his senses. A huge shadow enveloped Gaara's body. An invisible tension began to permeate his heart. The first time he faced Whitebeard, Gaara was full of killing intent because he was narrow-minded. The second time he faced Whitebeard, Gaara gritted his teeth because he wanted to fight to the death. Now this third time, Gaara's mentality has changed again. He knows he shouldn't fear anyone, but the fear that creeps into his heart is something he can't control. When he turned around, he could see Whitebeard's tall and burly figure standing in front of him. Why didn't you kill me? After a long silence, Gaara asked this question. Whitebeard looked down at Gaara with hollow eyes, his rugged face full of hearty smiles. Gaara, if I want to kill someone who has been betrayed by their family, wouldn't that be too cruel for that person? Betrayed by family? Gaara was taken aback. The next second, he realized that Whitebeard seemed to be talking about himself. Betrayal. These two words are simply filled with Gaara's entire childhood. Gaara's eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes. He looked up at Whitebeard. But what surprised Gaara was that Whitebeard's gaze was something he couldn't describe. In that gaze, there was no disgust, no anger, no hatred, no deception. Little brat, I've heard all about you. Whitebeard slowly leaned down. He reached out a big hand to Gaara. Don't let hatred and anger change your character, and don't become so dark and brutal for those rotten people that you don't even recognize yourself. Whitebeard smiled. He continued, if you think Hidden Sand Village is a place full of betrayal, if you think Hidden Sand Village has no place for you, then perhaps the Moby Dick of the Whitebeard pirates can make you feel a real home. Gaara was a bit dazed, not understanding what Whitebeard wanted to say. Gaara. Little brat, be my son. Whitebeard laughed loudly. If you hold a grudge against your biological father who betrayed you, then I will turn the entire Hidden Sand Village upside down. Gaara. An invisible conqueror's haki swept all around. The clouds in the sky were completely dispersed, but it did not affect anyone on the ship. Gaara was completely stunned. He stood there like a thunderbolt, staring blankly at Whitebeard. Gaara never dreamed one day someone would say such a thing to him. Chapter 321, The Wrong Truth. Infiltrating Hidden Sand Village. In Gaara's heart, the concept of father is a bit too abstract. Because everything his biological father Raza did to him made Gaara hate these two words very much. His miserable childhood, at least 90% of the responsibility, all lies with his father. Gaara knows this very well. What he didn't expect was that someone would actually want to be his father and adopt him as a son. Is this a joke? And that person happens to be Whitebeard in front of him. Gaara could feel that Whitebeard was not lying. The scene in front of him was not Genjutsu. He just looked up at Whitebeard blankly. Gaara's brain was a bit stuck for a while. After all, this is something he didn't expect. A gust of wind and sand blew by, making Gaara a little bit more sober. He pursed his lips. Although the thousands of thoughts in his heart were tangled into a mess, he still pretended to be cold and resolutely shook his head. Don't be delusional. I came here to kill you. How could I possibly become your son? Gaara, you have some personality. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard was not angry at all, but rather nostalgic. You remind me of a stupid son named Ace. This stupid son was a bit like you back then. Whitebeard slowly stood up. He grinned. Little brat, what do you want to do most now? Or what do you want to do most in your life? What are your dreams and goals? An unexpected question left Gaara stunned. Gaara frowned and thought for a while. He said solemnly, to possess the great power, to kill the person I want to kill, to live this life only for myself. As soon as he finished speaking, Whitebeard's flicking finger instantly landed on his forehead, directly knocking him flying. Gaara rolled several times on the deck, hitting the wall in an embarrassing manner. He didn't expect Whitebeard to suddenly make a move. And he did it in such a teasing way. Just as Gaara wanted to stand up and fight, Whitebeard's voice sounded, "Little brat, how can a person live only for themselves in this life? People need to have family and friends." Gaara stopped on the spot. Family. Friends. He thought of Raza, his mother, Temari, Kankuro, Yashimaru. These people are all his family. As for friends, he has no friends. Gaara touched the bruise on his forehead. He said with a stern face and stubbornly, "I don't need such a family. Their existence is of no use." Family, on the contrary, is what Gaara hates. Because, Raza, in order to test whether Gaara was a qualified Jinchuriki, told Gaara 2 years ago a wrong truth through Yashimaru. That wrong truth caused Gaara to misunderstand everything in the past. Heavy footsteps sounded, and Whitebeard stood in front of Gaara again. He looked down and said, "Little devil, then do you want to have a different family?" Gaara couldn't answer. According to reason, according to his character, Gaara thought he should refuse Whitebeard again. But for some reason, he couldn't say the words in his heart. The words Yashimaru said to him before he died once again surfaced in his mind. Gaara felt a little headache. He uncontrollably held his head, his body was trembling slightly. He didn't make any resistance, nor did he make any radical actions. He curled up his body like a wounded puppy. Suddenly, Whitebeard caught a glimpse of some sand drilling out of the tattered big gourd on Gaara's back. The sand condensed into a slender palm, gently stroking Gaara's hair. "What is this?" Sasuke on the side was also a bit surprised. "Cialis ninjutsu?" Neji activated his Byakugan, he said, "It's not ninjutsu." As expected, like last time, the sand in the gourd is not controlled by Gaara. Neji explained, "The flow trajectory of the chakra in the sand has nothing to do with the chakra in Gaara's body, which means that the sand should have an awareness." Naruto's eyes widened. He asked curiously, "Is this some kind of strange weapon?" Thinking of how he accidentally broke this big gourd before, Naruto was a little embarrassed. "There's a soul's breath." The voice of Nohara Rin sounded. She said in surprise, "There's a soul's breath in the sand, and it's not a living soul." Nohara Rin, as a dead person, no one in the field understands the soul better than her. The soul of a dead person. Kakashi touched his chin. Could it be that a dead soul is living in the gourd? It seems that he had a deep relationship with his child when he was alive. Gaara's body had stopped trembling. He seemed to be trying to throw away the memories that surfaced in his mind. He also heard a group of pirates discussing. Gaara had a cold face. He lowered his head and said coldly, "TSK, if there really is a soul inside, it should be the soul of my mother who bears a grudge against me." His words revealed a lot of information. Hinata clasped her 2 small hands. Her voice was a bit weak. "A mother who bears a grudge against you?" Hinata looked at the gentle sand palm. She murmured, "It doesn't seem to bear a grudge." Bang! Gaara slapped away the annoying hand on his head, shattering the hand made of condensed sand. He snorted and said, "This is hatred. She didn't want to give birth to me at all. She named me Gaara with resentment and hatred, wanting me to become a shuro who only loves himself, and let me survive in the village with her hatred." Gaara's fingers tightly gripped the deck. As a result, because the deck was too hard, his fingers couldn't penetrate the deck, but instead, a lot of blood oozed from his fingernails. Everything he said was the truth that Yashimaru once told him. And it was from that night that Gaara decided that he would never love anyone other than himself. In that way, he wouldn't be betrayed, and he wouldn't feel heartache. "I won't have a family, and I don't want to have a family." Gaara slowly stood up. He looked up at Whitebeard. "If you don't kill me, then I will try my best to kill you." Because, just now, Gaara was moved for a moment. He doesn't allow himself to be moved, and he doesn't allow himself to love anyone. He doesn't want to be betrayed again. He. Interesting kid. Orochimaru, standing in the corner, looked at Gaara with interest. Naruto frowned. Just from what Gaara said, his family really wasn't any good. So, it's normal for him to resist having a family. However, Naruto always felt something was wrong. If his mother really wanted Gaara to survive with a kind of hatred, and wanted Gaara to become a time bomb in Hidden Sand Village. What was that just now? Is this really hatred? Naruto's subconscious told him that the truth might not be that simple. "Hey, where is your mother buried?" Naruto suddenly asked Gaara. Gaara gave Naruto a cold glance. "What do you want to do?" Naruto put his hands behind his head and said, "I always feel that your mother is not as bad as you said. Don't be angry first. If you think I'm talking nonsense, maybe you can give me a chance to prove it? As long as you tell me where your mother's body is buried, I can bring your mother out of the underworld and talk to you." Gaara. At this moment, Gaara's mood was completely unsettled. He stared at Naruto with wide eyes, his face full of disbelief. Naruto grinned and said, "How about it? Dare to bet? Gar's struggle lasted less than 2 seconds. He responded. In the ninja cemetery of Hidden Sand Village. Naruto's mouth curled up. Can you take me there? Then, Naruto turned his head to look at Whitebeard. Pops, let's stop Moby Dick here first. I'll go into Hidden Sand Village with Gaara first, dig up his mother's grave, and bring his mother out with summoning, impure world reincarnation first, and then figure out some things. Whitebeard raised his eyebrows. Digging someone else's mother's grave? It's also thanks to Naruto, this stupid son, for coming up with this. But it seems feasible. If we can take this opportunity to untie the knot in Gaara's heart, then the Whitebeard pirates might welcome a new member. Whitebeard grinned. Stupid son, move quickly. Don't disrespect the dead. Okay. Naruto's smile grew brighter. Because Pops agreed. I'll go too. Sasuke stood up and said. So Naruto won't mess things up. Add me in. Neji, with his hands in his pockets, said. If we're discovered, my Byakugan can quickly spot the pursuers from Hidden Sand Village. A simple grave-digging team of 4 was assembled. They were Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Neji Hyuga, and Gaara. Pops, should I go with them? Kisame was a little worried about these kids. Gaara, consider this as their special training. Whitebeard didn't let stronger people participate, which could be seen as a way to train these foolish sons. I understand. Kisame nodded and didn't continue speaking. And so, the Moby Dick really stopped, stopping in the vast desert. Time passed in the blink of an eye, an hour. At this time, the sky in the desert was getting dark. Although Gaara's face showed no unusual expression, he was still a little dazed inside. Gaara couldn't understand why things had developed this way. He couldn't help but look at Naruto next to him. Did you deliberately provoke me with your words earlier, and I agreed to take you to Hidden Sand Village? And you pirates just let me go? Naruto looked innocent. Provoke you on purpose? No. He hid the cunning in his eyes very well. Sasuke spoke up. Don't overestimate yourself, even if you're let go, you can't run away. Gaara's forehead veins bulged, and he glared at Sasuke with a murderous look. Sasuke looked back without courtesy. Neji twitched the corner of his mouth slightly, a bit helpless. One with a violent temperament, one with a proud temperament, when these two are together, indeed, they don't get along well. At this moment, these 4 young kids of similar age were walking in the desolate desert, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. Suddenly, Gaara stopped. We're here. He gazed at a group of buildings not far ahead. In the dim night, he could see the twinkling lights in front of him. That was the light in the village. Naruto was also trying hard to look into the distance. He muttered. Is this Hidden Sand Village? It looks so desolate. Sasuke, touching his chin, commented. This place looks pretty poor. Neji suddenly frowned. He said. Be careful, there are people nearby. Quite a few people. His Byakugan had a visual range of a full kilometer, which was even wider than Naruto's observation haki. Under Neji's Byakugan observation, he found that within a radius of 1 kilometer, there were actually 5 or 6 ninjas. Neji frowned and said. Strange, they seem to be looking for something. Then, he reacted. Neji couldn't help but look at Gaara. Did you come out on your own? Gaara didn't answer, he took it as a default. Gaara snorted and said. What's the big deal, just kill them. Let's go around. Neji held a different opinion. We can kill 5 or 6 ninjas, but that doesn't mean we can kill 5 or 600, or even 5 or 6,000 ninjas. Their goal is to infiltrate Hidden Sand Village, not to kill into Hidden Sand Village. Gaara pouted, and said unhappily. What a hassle. But he still followed Neji and bypassed those ninjas from Hidden Sand Village. In the end, the 4 little kids finally entered Hidden Sand Village, and no one discovered them during the period. The ninja cemetery of Hidden Sand Village is located near the back mountain of the village. This time it was Gaara's turn to lead the way, and the few people quickly shuttled through the buildings. Meanwhile, on the other side of Hidden Sand Village. Huh? We're leaving the village to find Gaara? This. Father will definitely not agree, right? If Father finds out, we're doomed. Kankuro swallowed a mouthful of saliva, expressing his disagreement with Temari's proposal. Moreover, Gaara is so powerful, he won't be in trouble, right? Even if we find Gaara, we may not be able to bring him back. Kankuro shivered. What if? What if he wants to kill us? Temari kicked Kankuro's butt and complained. Are you that scared? He is our brother after all. Suddenly, Temari quickly turned her head. But she saw nothing. What's wrong? Kankuro was confused. Temari frowned. Why do I always feel like something just ran past? Kankuro was stunned. Ran past? Where? Temari grabbed Kankuro's collar. Come on, follow me. Kankuro was dumbfounded. Huh? Chapter 322, Summoning, impure world reincarnation reappears. Take some spoils back. The back mountain of Hidden Sand Village. Because several hundred ninjas were pulled out of the village to find Gaara, there are not many Hidden Sand Village ninjas in this remote place behind the village. Not to mention, it's late at night now. One after another, great tombstones stand here. Each tombstone is covered with a thin layer of sand dust. As the night wind blew, a few strands of yellow sand swept past Naruto and the others' feet. At this moment, Gaara stood in front of two tombstones. The tombstone on the left is his mother's, and the tombstone on the right is his uncle's. The tomb of my beloved wife Karura. The tomb of Yoshimaru. Sasuke pursed his lips and said, Karura should be your mother's name, right? Gaara didn't speak. He quietly looked at the characters carved on the tombstone, and took a deep breath slowly. His hands had turned into fists because he remembered again the wrong truths that Yoshimaru had once told him. But Gaara didn't know that those truths were wrong. He always took them seriously. He found it a bit difficult to calm his fluctuating thoughts, and after a long silence, he finally said, Yes. Then, he said, dig up the one next to it too. He is my uncle. He once tried to assassinate me. Gaara gritted his teeth. If you can really bring them back from the underworld, I want to question him in front of him again, whether everything he told me back then was true. Gaara turned his head to look at Naruto and continued. The bet you told me about, I think you lost. Naruto laughed carelessly. Hee, that's not necessarily true. Naruto's subconscious felt that the matter was not as simple as Gaara said. Naruto very much believed in his intuition. Neji said. Let's do it, keep it quiet, so as not to attract the ninjas. Gaara snorted coldly, his words were full of murderous aura. No need to be so troublesome, I'll kill as many as come. Naruto muttered. You and the ninjas of Hidden Sand Village are from the same village, right? You guys just kill each other like this? Gaara sneered. They are allowed to assassinate me, but I'm not allowed to kill them. Sasuke made a comment. It looks like a village with a deformed mentality. In the midst of this brief conversation, their actions did not stop. The four little kids began to dig at the two graves, and soon dug out two coffins. Hidden Sand Village practices burial, and the coffin contains the body of the deceased. Naruto prepared some sturdy ropes. He carried a coffin on his back, and tied another coffin to Sasuke. Perfect? Naruto is not afraid of any monsters or ghosts popping out of the coffin. He patted his palm covered with mud and dust. Suddenly, Naruto vaguely felt something, and so did Neji. Neji quickly cast his gaze in a certain direction and decisively activated his Byakugan. Just see, two figures are approaching this side at a speed that is not very fast, and the two sides meet in less than a few seconds. Slow down. I'm a bit out of breath. Kankuro sat on the ground panting. He felt that every breath he took, his lungs were about to explode. Temari's breathing was also quite unstable, and she was sweaty all over. But she was too lazy to take care of Kankuro. She was staring dumbfounded at the four people in front of her. Then, Temari saw the two graves that had been dug up behind, saw the two crooked tombstones, and Temari's eyes widened. These are the graves of mother and uncle. Temari looked at Gaara incredulously. Gaara, what? What is going on? You have been missing for so long. Were you here? Who are these people? Why do you want to dig these two graves? You guys. Seeing Naruto and Sasuke each carrying a coffin, Temari's brain couldn't turn around for a while. You guys are desecrating the dead. Gaara didn't expect to run into these two people. He said expressionlessly, I don't need to answer your questions. Don't block the way. Let go. No. Temari took a deep breath and said seriously, you guys want to take away the bodies of mother and uncle, right? Although I don't know why you want to do this, but I won't allow you to do this. Gaara, I don't know who these three people you met are, but it's wrong to do this. Gaara, be careful not to be deceived by these people of unknown origin. They may not be good people, otherwise they won't bewitch you to dig graves. Naruto muttered dissatisfiedly, hey, how are we not good people? Although we are pirates, I think I should be a good person, right? Temari was stunned. Pirate? Naruto grinned. He unreservedly revealed his identity. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the captain of the 1st Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Temari. Kankuro. Whitebeard Pirates. How is it possible? These people are pirates? Aren't they too young? They look about the same age as Gaara, right? Temari gritted her silver teeth. I can't let you go even more. What did you bewitch Gaara? She has already taken off the big fan on her back, and has already made a fighting posture. Seeing this, Kankuro also hurriedly stood up, but because he came in a hurry, he didn't even bring the puppet. He could only hurriedly take out a kunai from the ninja tools bag. It seems that you two want to stop me? Gaara walked forward expressionlessly, the sand under his feet trembled slightly with his steps, and a sense of killing began to permeate. Temari and Kankuro were already sweating profusely. They knew very well how much of a monster this little brother's strength was. You know, if Gaara uses the power of the tailed beast, even some jonin in the village are not Gaara's opponents. In the entire village, there are no more than 5 people who can suppress Gaara. Obviously, Temari and Kankuro, who are still young, are not included. You seem to be familiar? Sasuke suddenly interrupted, causing Gaara's steps to pause. Gaara did not answer. Kankuro's voice trembled a bit as he hurriedly said, "We are Gaara's sister and brother. What have you pirates done to Gaara?" Neji looked at the 3 siblings with some suspicion. "Real siblings? Of course it's real." Kankuro shouted. "What are you, a pirate, doubting?" Neji calmly said. "Because your appearance compared to the other 2 is not on the same level." "Kankuro?" Gaara furrowed his brows. He didn't want to delay any longer, nor did he want to talk nonsense. Hey, you're not trying to kill your brother and sister, are you?" A hand rested on Gaara's shoulder. Gaara turned his head to look, and found it was Naruto carrying a coffin. Naruto said nonchalantly, "There's no need to be so extreme. They both seem to care about you, not like those very vicious relatives, right?" After saying that, Naruto rubbed his hands together and said, "Hee, let me do it. The Whitebeard pirates are short of people, aren't there 2 more here?" Whoosh. As soon as Naruto's voice fell, his body seemed to turn into a fleeting afterimage, moving so fast that Gaara's pupils shrank. "Gone?" Temari was shocked. She looked left and right trying to quickly find Naruto, but the next second her palm hurt. Naruto appeared in front of her in the blink of an eye, kicked her palm, causing the big fan in her hand to fall out. Immediately, Naruto casually punched Temari in the abdomen. Pua! Temari almost vomited out the dinner she had eaten today. She bent over and retched in pain, losing her strength on the spot. "What?" Kankuro's face changed drastically. He didn't expect this blonde pirate, who was younger than him, to be so outrageous. Pooh. Kankuro's chin was directly kicked by Naruto's skyward kick. He didn't even have a chance to react. The heavy blow to the chin caused one of his teeth to shatter, and the whole person rolled his eyes and fell back. "Are you really siblings? How come they seem so much weaker than you?" Naruto muttered a sentence. Luckily he held back. If he had gone all out, he might have killed these 2 people. "Naruto, do you want to tie them up on the ship?" Neji asked curiously. Naruto grinned. "Ha, we sneaked into Hidden Sand Village once. We can't just dig 2 graves and leave, right? We must bring back some spoils of war. You know, we are pirates. When we get to a place, how can we bring back so little stuff?" Neji thought Naruto made a lot of sense. So, when everyone in Hidden Sand Village didn't know, the 2 graves in the ninja cemetery on the back mountain of Hidden Sand Village were dug out, and the children of Kazekage-sama disappeared overnight. Late at night, Moby Dick, Naruto and the others didn't stay in Hidden Sand Village for long. They used Neji's Byakugan as a reconnaissance tool, quickly left Hidden Sand Village, and returned to Moby Dick. When 2 coffins and 2 little ghosts were placed on the deck, a group of people gathered around. "Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr satisfactorily, then glanced at the two unconscious little ghosts. Gorara, are there two more spoils coming back? Pops, this is what happened. Naruto told everything that happened tonight. Whitebeard raised his eyebrows. Oh? These two little brat are the siblings of this Jinchuriki little ghost? Good guy, this is really all taken away. Conan next to him said. The fourth Kazekage has 3 children, which is equivalent to kidnapping all his children. After hearing this, Kisame was a bit schadenfreude. Such a poor father is not worthy of having children. These 3 little kids under his hands, I'm afraid they will only be taught by him to have a very deformed character. The people of the Whitebeard Pirates naturally knew about some of Raza's actions towards Gaara. In the Whitebeard Pirates, Raza, the fourth Kazekage, had a very poor reputation. The bodies have already been brought over, what about summoning them from the underworld as you promised? Gaara suddenly said. Don't be so impatient, little friend. As Orochimaru's voice sounded, he saw him slowly walking over with 2 naked humanoid creatures. Those 2 humanoid creatures were white Zetsu clones cloned by Orochimaru. Orochimaru had a playful smile on his face, and he said, let me take something from the body first. Then, Orochimaru opened the coffin in front of everyone. After he took a bit of bone, he took out a scroll and pressed it on the ground, summoning jutsu. 2 coffins specially used for summoning, impure world reincarnation came out from the scroll, and Orochimaru began to fiddle with the pre-preparation of summoning, impure world reincarnation. A few minutes later, he controlled 2 white Zetsu clones to walk into the standing coffin. The next second, the coffin board closed heavily. Ninjutsu summoning, impure world reincarnation jutsu. Orochimaru made hand seals and pressed one palm on the ground until the end. The coffin board that had been closed for a while fell down, and the two white Zetsu clones in the coffin also turned into another look. Gaara had never seen his mother in person, but he had seen his uncle, and he had a very good relationship with his uncle. When Gaara saw that familiar face, his whole body shuddered. Yashimaru. Gaara's face was particularly complicated. Then, he turned his gaze to the woman next to Yashimaru. This is. He found that the woman's appearance was very similar to Yashimaru's. Just like in the photo. Gaara had only seen his mother's appearance in the photo, and he found that the face in the photo had almost no difference. At this moment, the Yashimaru who was summoned by summoning, impure world reincarnation looked around a bit uncertainly. Didn't I already die? Shouldn't I be in the underworld? Why am I here? Where is this? Who are these people? Suddenly, his gaze fell on the next door, sitting on his sister. Yashimaru was stunned on the spot. Sister? Gaara turned her head when she heard the sound. Yashimaru? Gaara carefully observed the changes in Yashimaru, and then she looked down at her own appearance. This is. A forbidden technique came out of her mind, one of the signature ninjutsu of the second Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village, summoning, impure world reincarnation? A forbidden technique that can summon the dead from the underworld? Gaara was a very strong ninja in her lifetime, otherwise she would not be able to affect the sand in Gaara's gourd after her death. Just relying on love, this relatively abstract force, can't do this. A forbidden technique? Hearing his sister's voice, Yashimaru was dumbfounded. There is such a technique in the ninja world? But why do someone have to summon us siblings from the underworld? Before he finished speaking, Yashimaru noticed Gaara. Gaara's face hasn't changed much from 2 years ago, except for an extra love character on his forehead. So Yashimaru recognized Gaara at a glance. You are Gaara. Chapter 323, Gaara's Nightmare Awakens. Bearing the name of Whitebeard. With Yashimaru's incredulous exclamation, Gaara couldn't help but look in Gaara's direction. Because for her, this name is indeed too special. It was the name she gave to her newborn child at the last moment of her life. Then, Gaara, with his short red hair, came into Gaara's sight. She was stunned. To be honest, Gaara had only seen Gaara once, when he was just born. And now Gaara, who is already 8 years old, seems a bit unfamiliar to Gaara. But for some reason, when she saw the child in front of her, she had a very strange feeling. It's like a feeling of blood connection, a very unique throbbing feeling. Gaara was stunned, a thought rose in her heart, and she couldn't help blurting out, Gaara. Your name is Gaara? Then you. Are you my child? Gaara's gaze also moved to his mother. He was silent for a few seconds, but in the end, he nodded. Gaara was overjoyed in an instant. She thought she would never see her child again. But who could have thought that today? Now, she saw Gaara. This child's appearance and his father Raza are somewhat similar, both have a head of red hair. Gaara also found that Gaara's eyebrows were somewhat similar to her own. This is her child. Her own child. She couldn't help but walk forward a few steps. Her mood was excited and somewhat unbelievable. Gaara reached out a hand, wanting to touch her child's face. However, Gaara took a step back, and her fingertips brushed past Gaara's nose. Gaara was taken aback, and then immediately reacted. She smiled bitterly. That's right. After all, you have never seen me. But she was not sad, seeing her child alive and growing up. Gaara was very pleased. I want to ask you a question. Suddenly, Gaara said in a flat tone. This extremely cold tone made Gaara realize that something was wrong. Even if Gaara has never felt maternal love, seeing his mother appear in front of him should not be so cold that it is somewhat resistant, right? Gaara, whatever you want to ask, I will answer you. Gaara said gently. Gaara took a deep breath, and he gritted his teeth and asked, when you named me Gaara, did you want me to inherit your resentment before you died, and let me become a shura who only loves himself? Have you never really loved me? Is my existence a burden and a burden to you? One question after another left Gaara stunned. She was a bit confused. Why would Gaara ask these strange questions? Gaara only loves himself, shura? When she named Gaara, did she have this idea? No. And, how could she have never really loved Gaara? This is her child. Gaara felt more and more wrong. She always felt that Gaara asked these questions. There must be a reason. Gaara, Mom loves you very much. Mom has never hated you. Gaara calmed her thoughts. Her tone became even softer and gentler. She spoke very patiently. The birth of Gaara is the greatest gift that the god has given to Mom. Mom named you Gaara. It has nothing to do with Shura. I choose that name just to let you know that Mom actually loves you very much when you grow up. Gaara's feelings and tone are very sincere, so sincere that Gaara can't hear any false ingredients. His stubborn eyes were a bit lost, and his face became somewhat astonished. The next second, Gaara looked at Yashimaru, who was smiling bitterly. Seeing Gaara's actions, Karura seemed to understand something, and she also turned to look at Yashimaru. Karura couldn't help but ask, "Yashimaru, what's going on? What did you say to Gaara during the time after my death?" Yashimaru opened his mouth, unsure whether to reveal Kazekage-sama's plan. But when he saw Gaara, who was sullen and violent, and saw the worry and urgency on his sister's face, the hesitation in Yashimaru's heart was instantly dispelled. He slowly lowered his head and responded, "Sister. Gaara. I'm sorry, I once did a very stupid thing, and I also told some stupid lies." Karura was confused. Gaara was like being struck by lightning. Yashimaru's words indicated that the truth he told 2 years ago was not true. Gaara was stunned. That is to say, he believed in that false truth, believed for a full 2 years, and misunderstood his deceased mother for a full 2 years. Gaara couldn't accept it, and anger surged in Gaara's eyes. Under his turbulent emotions, a large amount of sand drilled out of the gourd behind him and turned into a big hand holding Yashimaru. Yashimaru's summoning, impure world reincarnation body was lifted by the big hand made of sand. Gaara looked up at the guilty eyes of the other party, his eyes were a little red, and he gritted his teeth and asked, "Why did you do this? Why did you deceive me?" "I'm sorry, Gaara. This was a death order issued by Kazekage-sama." Yashimaru responded with great regret. "You know, I am Kazekage-sama's right-hand man. I must obey his orders." Yashimaru pursed his lips and told everything that happened that year. Seeing Gaara and his sister right in front of him, he couldn't tell any lies. And he couldn't hide the truth for Kazekage-sama. Yashimaru spoke for several minutes. Gaara was shocked. Karura was also stunned. The one-tail chaos in Hidden Sand Village 2 years ago, was it because my father stimulated Gaara to lose control and rampage? A voice that was beyond comprehension sounded particularly abrupt. Everyone looked around and found that Temari, who had been tied up, woke up unknowingly. Obviously. She saw everything that just happened and heard a lot of explosive information. Temari was also a bit stunned. Temari? Karura saw her daughter, and she recognized her daughter at a glance. Temari squeezed out a strong smile. "Mom." In theory, Temari would be very happy seeing her deceased mother. But after learning some truths from her uncle, Temari couldn't be happy. She found that the reason why Gaara became so extreme in character was inseparable from her father. The fact that the village is threatened by the Jinchuriki who may lose control at any time is also inseparable from her father. Even, the reason why the uncle died is also related to the father. In this matter of Gaara, the role played by Raza is purely a negative role. Temari couldn't even think of any words to defend her father's honor. Gaara is his child. He is family. Father. How could he test Gaara's capacity in such an extreme way? The key is that after the test failed and Gaara's temperament changed drastically, her father did not apologize to Gaara. And did not make any remedial measures. On the contrary, he concealed the truth, and even his daughter didn't know that the truth was so 2 years ago. Her father did not make any remedial measures for the failure of the test that year, but tried every means to assassinate Gaara. Temari was a bit dazed. She didn't know how to evaluate her father. Karura was also in a mess of thoughts. She asked Yashimaru blankly. "Yashimaru, is it all true?" Yashimaru nodded with a complex expression. "Yes, sister." Karura was in a daze, she almost fell to the ground. "Raza." Karura bit her lip. "I know he is a man who would put a lot of effort into the village. But I didn't expect. For the sake of the village, he would use his own child in such a way. I didn't even expect. He doesn't even want to admit his mistakes, he just wants to kill his child. Just because his child is not a qualified Jinchuriki. Even the so-called unqualified Jinchuriki is purely his subjective idea." Karura couldn't accept her husband's approach. How could Gaara be the kind of person who would be controlled by the tailed beast? But indeed, it is so. If it weren't for the stimulation of Gaara 2 years ago, Gaara's character might not have become so extreme, and he wouldn't have become so easily out of control and rampage. Raza's so-called testing Gaara's capacity has turned Gaara into a dangerous existence that can rampage at any time. If the one-tailed Shukaku is a big bomb, then Gaara, who has not heard the false truth, is a long fuse. And Raza ordered Yashimaru to tell Gaara the false truth, and let Yashimaru assassinate Gaara. It is to cut this long fuse to only a few centimeters short. With a snap, the big hand of sand holding Yashimaru loosened, and Yashimaru fell on the deck. Yashimaru was full of guilt. "I'm sorry, Gaara. I know that I was too cruel for you. I'm really sorry. Your sister really loves you, and I really love you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Yoshimaru knew very well that no matter how many apologies he said, it would be useless. If he had the courage to refuse Kazekage-sama's order back then, maybe everything would be different. Unfortunately, there is no if. The wrong truth leads Gaara's life in the wrong direction. Telling the real truth is what Yoshimaru thinks is the last remedy. Is this the real truth? Gaara looked up at the bright moon in the sky. He felt like it was a nightmare. He had experienced a nightmare that lasted for 2 years. In the nightmare, no one loved him, and betrayal was everywhere. But today, he found that he seemed to wake up from the nightmare. It turns out that the mother loves him, and Yoshimaru also loves him. Gaara came to his senses. Temari and Kankuro knew that he might kill them, but they still stopped him, let him not leave Hidden Sand Village, and let him not believe in pirates. So, do they both care about themselves? It turns out that among family members with blood relations, the only one who doesn't love him is one person. His father, Raza. The village needs a Jinchuriki. They let the newborn child become a Jinchuriki. And in an extreme way to test the capacity of the Jinchuriki, after the test fails, he wants to kill the Jinchuriki. They let the Jinchuriki be deceived by the false truth for years, so that his character becomes extremely brutal. Kakashi counted the series of clever operations that Raza had done, and he wondered if this guy's IQ could really serve as the Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village. Perhaps the other party's IQ is normal, but it is too morally low, and it does not regard Gaara as a human. Kakashi couldn't understand this kind of father. In comparison, Minato-sensei is not an unqualified father, right? Although Minato-sensei also made the newborn Naruto become the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but he didn't do those things afterwards, right? Based on Kakashi's understanding of Minato no Mikaze, he firmly believes that Minato-sensei would not do this. What a rotten person. Kisame's face was full of dissatisfaction. Such a rotten person can actually have a wife, and even have 3 children. At this moment, Naruto didn't feel happy at all for winning his bet. He simply empathized with Gaara's tragic childhood. Naruto clenched his fists, gritted his teeth. Damn it. I really want to beat that guy's head, to let him know he was wrong. Conan said expressionlessly. If you want an adult to realize their mistakes, especially when that adult is a village's Kazekage, who has been in a high position for many years, is not a simple matter. Shizue frowned. So, this is Gaara's past. Sasuke didn't know what to say. He had to admit, Gaara's situation was indeed quite miserable. His father deceived him, his father wanted to kill him. Betrayal from a loved one is indeed hard to accept. On this point, Sasuke also empathized. Because he thought of Itachi Uchiha. In Sasuke's eyes, Raza and Itachi Uchiha are the same type of rotten people. Kid, do you have anything to say? Do you have anything you want to do? Whitebeard suddenly spoke. Gaara was silent for a long time. Gaara suddenly clenched his fists, he almost bit his teeth, and shouted word by word. I want to kill him. The him in Gaara's mouth is obviously Raza. The killing intent bursting from him made Karura extremely heartbroken. Karura couldn't imagine what her child had gone through these years. She opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. Her husband did too much, so much that Karura couldn't stand it. How could he leave such a tragic childhood for his child? How could he want to kill his own child? Even a tiger does not eat its cubs. Kid, with your own strength, can you kill him? Whitebeard asked again. Gaara's forehead veins trembled. Then I will do my best to die with him. He really couldn't beat Raza. Gorara. Stupid kid. Whitebeard shouted. Don't forget you're on the ship of the Whitebeard pirates. Kid, I'll ask you again. Do you want to join the Whitebeard pirates and become my son? Do you want to carry the name of Whitebeard, return to Hidden Sand Village and turn it upside down? Chapter 324, Gaara joins the pirates. Raza's shock. Whitebeard's words surprised Gaara. He didn't expect this man to want to adopt him as a son, and he maintained this enthusiasm as always. If it was a day ago, Gaara's choice would naturally be the same as before, he would firmly refuse. But, after losing the bet with Naruto, and with the help of the Whitebeard pirates, knowing the real truth, facing Whitebeard's invitation again, Gaara hesitated this time. He was not so decisive in refusing, he fell into deep struggle and consideration. Gaara understood the meaning of his name today. It is not just to live for himself, nor to be a Shura who only loves himself. Under this circumstance, can he accept the love of others for him? Gaara could clearly perceive the special kindness emanating from Whitebeard. He knew very well that Whitebeard was not joking with him. Gaara couldn't help but look at Naruto, Sasuke, Neji and others. He knew. These people were all adopted by Whitebeard. Compared with himself, they indeed received good paternal love, which could be seen from their respect for Whitebeard. Could he also receive similar paternal love? Do I envy this kind of fatherly love? Gaara asked himself, and he found that he was very envious. Moreover, there is such an opportunity in front of him that could also give him a kind of fatherly love. Even if he joins the Whitebeard pirates, if Raza knows about it, he would definitely be shocked and collapse, right? After all, that man has always wanted to assassinate him, but if he joins the Whitebeard pirates, would he dare to do it? In his heart, he holds a kind of gratitude, a kind of expectation, a kind of revenge against his biological father. Gaara finally made a decision. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, even under the gaze of his own mother, he said to Whitebeard, "I am willing to join the Whitebeard pirates and become one of you." Gaara. Getting Gaara's affirmative reply, Whitebeard laughed heartily. "Kid, you have to change your address to me. From now on, you have to call me Pops." Pops. Such a title made Gaara a little embarrassed. He didn't know where this slightly awkward emotion came from. But Gaara still took a deep breath and forcibly overcame this emotion. He said these two words, "Pops." As soon as the words fell, it meant that the Whitebeard pirates had one more new member today. And it's a new member with both talent and potential. After all, Gaara is a Jinchuriki. Seeing all this happen, Karura could only watch silently. She could not stop her child's decision. Although she doesn't know what kind of power the Whitebeard pirates are, since there is such a man as Orochimaru in this organization, it shows that this organization is extraordinary. The Whitebeard pirates are so enthusiastic about inviting Gaara to join them. For Gaara, he doesn't know whether it is a blessing or a curse. Temari was dumbfounded at all this. She didn't expect that Gaara would just join the Whitebeard pirates and become a pirate. And the mother did not stop Gaara. The uncle did not stop Gaara either. Wait. Suddenly, Temari thought of something. She exclaimed, "Gaara, what do you want to do next?" Gaara glanced at her. He originally wanted to respond with a cold tone, but thinking that the truth he knew was actually false, he didn't need to maintain this extreme emotion and character. Gaara tried to soften his attitude towards others. He responded, "Go kill Raza. It's just that this kind of change can't be changed in a day." His tone of speech is still a bit cold. Getting this answer, Temari was speechless for a while. She knew that as Raza's daughter, she should stop Gaara from doing this. Moreover, the father is the Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village. If a Kazekage is killed, then what? But thinking of everything Gaara has experienced, thinking of what the father did to Gaara, Temari's thousands of words were stuck in her throat, and she couldn't say a word. She fell into a deadly silence. At this moment, no one continued to speak, and the entire Moby Dick fell into a quiet atmosphere. Gorara. Foolish sons, what are you still stunned for? Until Whitebeard's voice suddenly sounded, "My stupid son is going to punish his biological father who betrayed his family. Are we family members still standing stupidly and motionless? Foolish sons, let Moby Dick move. Let's go directly to Hidden Sand Village." The highest command from Whitebeard made everyone in the Whitebeard pirates realize what was about to happen next. Kisame grinned. He had been waiting for Pop's command for a long time, and he was getting a bit impatient. After listening for most of the day, Kisame was filled with disgust for Raza, the Kazekage. Kisame responded with a sinister smile. "No problem, Pops. Let's set sail." Kakashi took a deep breath. He put away a small book, and looked at the night in the distance. "We are going to launch a bright and upright night raid on Hidden Sand Village." The words bright and upright and night raid sound a bit contradictory. But what Whitebeard is going to do today is indeed so. Naruto was rubbing his hands together. He also didn't like Raza very much, and he wished he could punch him on the spot. Good. I'll beat that broken Kazekage to a pulp. Seeing the excited Whitebeard pirates who were like chickens, Conan realized that one of the 5 great shinobi villages, Hidden Sand Village, might also fall into the hands of the Whitebeard pirates. This also means that after tonight, only one of the 5 great shinobi villages, Hidden Leaf Village, can barely survive on its own. But Conan also knew that Hidden Leaf Village, when facing the Whitebeard pirates, was actually no different from being annexed by the Whitebeard pirates. Are we going to attack Hidden Sand Village? Temari turned pale with fright. Who could have thought that just after a night, Hidden Sand Village would face a catastrophe? Temari looked at her mother for help, hoping that her mother could do something. Unfortunately, Karura couldn't do anything. Gaara saw the reactions of everyone in the Whitebeard pirates. He found that the emotions displayed by everyone were very sincere. The emotions they showed, such as excitement, anger, and happiness, etc., had no embellishment or concealment. This is different from the people he saw in Hidden Sand Village. Gaara murmured to himself. Whitebeard pirates. It was also at this moment. He had a faint sense of belonging to the Whitebeard pirates. Meanwhile, Hidden Sand Village. Raza didn't know that a huge force was approaching Hidden Sand Village at a fast speed by breaking through the sand. He only knew that the missing Jinchuriki had not been found yet. How long has it been? And you can't find an 8-year-old child. You've searched the area within 10 miles outside the village, can't you find any clues? Raza was gritting his teeth and questioning an Anbu from Hidden Sand Village. It's already 4 o'clock in the morning, the desert sky will soon be bright, and the sky will be bright in another hour. You've been looking for Gara all night and you can't find him. When did the Anbu's reconnaissance team become so incompetent? After reprimanding this Anbu ninja for a while, Raza finally calmed down his irritable mood. His feelings for Gara are very complicated. He thinks Gara is a failed Jinchuriki, and he even sends people to assassinate Gara. But he also worries that Gara will die outside Hidden Sand Village. If Gara dies outside, then he will lose the one tail inside him. Yes, Raza's complex feelings for Gara are solely because of the tailed beast inside him. Raza is simply worried that the one-tailed Shukaku will get out of Hidden Sand Village's control, then the village will lose a powerful force, and also lose the capital to negotiate with the Whitebeard pirates. Thinking that the Whitebeard pirates are close at hand, and may come in another day or two, Raza feels even more irritable. There is also a throbbing pain in the center of his eyebrows. And for some reason, he always had a very bad premonition. As if to confirm his bad premonition, a disturbance suddenly came from the direction in Hidden Sand Village. The disturbance in the middle of the night was particularly harsh. Listening to the noise outside, Raza frowned. What's going on outside? Has Gara been found? Kazekage-sama, I'll go take a look. The Anbu ninja who had been scolded for a long time immediately said. No need. Raza stood up with a cold face. I'll go myself. The ominous premonition in his heart began to intensify, causing Raza to know something had happened. He left the Kazekage office, took a few Anbu guards, jumped quickly over the buildings in the village, and rushed towards the direction of the disturbance. Before long, Raza arrived at the edge of Hidden Sand Village. He stood on the roof of a building, staring at the devastated scene in front of him. Raza's eyes couldn't help but widen a bit. What is this? His pupils also contracted slightly, as if seeing some incredible scene. His face was full of horrified expressions. In his line of sight, a huge ship appeared in Hidden Sand Village. The big ship knocked a hole in the thick village wall of Hidden Sand Village, and even collapsed several buildings in the village. Raza's gaze kept moving upwards. Under the not-so-bright moonlight, he saw a pirate flag fluttering in the night wind. That was the pirate flag of the Whitebeard pirates. Raza suddenly took a breath of cold air, and an incredulous exclamation came out of his mouth. Whitebeard pirates. He didn't expect the Whitebeard pirates to appear so abruptly, let alone appear in a Hidden Sand Village in the middle of the night. That ship should be the Moby Dick of the Whitebeard pirates, right? There should be that legendary Whitebeard on that ship, right? A sense of tension and unease began to spread. Raza was very clear that the purpose of the Whitebeard pirates coming to Hidden Sand Village should be to snatch the tailed beast of Hidden Sand Village. But the problem is that the Jinchuriki is gone, and the tailed beast is gone. Raza's forehead oozed a few drops of sweat. This is bad. Trouble. Even Raza, the Kazekage, saw the Moby Dick of the Whitebeard pirates, let alone the other Hidden Sand Village ninjas in the village. One by one, the ninjas were attracted by the noise here, and then they saw a huge ship breaking into the village. This ship. The pirate flag on it. Hiss. A Hidden Sand Village ninja couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. It's pirates. It's the Whitebeard pirates. The pirates are here. For the arrival of the Whitebeard pirates, many ninjas in the village actually made some psychological preparations in advance. But the way the Whitebeard pirates made their appearance was too abrupt, and it still scared them. One by one, the ninjas of Hidden Sand Village gradually gathered here. Even Chio, Ebizo and others came over. At the same time, on the Moby Dick, Whitebeard, holding Murakamagiri, was already standing at the bow of the Moby Dick, his eyes overlooking the Hidden Sand Village in front of him. Whitebeard could see hundreds of Hidden Sand Village ninjas gathering in front. He could also feel that there were a few not simple guys in that group of ninjas. Gorara, there are really few people. Whitebeard made such a mocking joke. Compared to Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Stones Village or Hidden Leaf Village, there are indeed not many ninjas in Hidden Sand Village. Foolish son, where is your irresponsible biological father? Whitebeard asked Gara. Gara was standing next to Whitebeard, and even though it was late at night, he saw Raza at a glance. Gara gritted his teeth and replied. That person over there is him. Oh? Whitebeard turned his head to look, raising an eyebrow. He's a gloomy little brat, isn't he? And the people of Hidden Sand Village also saw Whitebeard. After all, his burly figure is indeed eye-catching. Raza took a deep breath, trying to calm his emotions, his face complex. Whitebeard. These 2 years, the most popular person in the entire ninja world. It must be him, right? Indeed, just like the rumors, this height is not like a human height at all, and the momentum emanating from him is very amazing. Raza's heart sank slightly. Even if Whitebeard didn't release the Conqueror's Haki, when Raza saw Whitebeard for the first time, his heart felt as if it was pressed by a huge rock. But the next second, Raza suddenly saw a person who made him feel very incredible. Because his line of sight moved a little to the side of Whitebeard. Raza's first reaction was that he had seen it wrong. He thought he was hallucinating. But when he blinked, he found that the small figure was still standing next to Whitebeard. Raza realized that this was not an illusion, and he did not read it wrong. Gaara? Raza was stunned. The familiar person he saw was obviously Gaara. Raza never expected that Gaara, who he had been looking for so long and couldn't find, would appear in the Whitebeard Pirates. What's going on? Chapter 325, Ebizo, believe in Kazi Kage-sama, that is. Gaara? Chio also noticed the small figure next to Whitebeard. Her wrinkled old face was a bit confused. Did Kazi Kage-sama hand Gaara over to the Whitebeard Pirates? Or did the Whitebeard Pirates catch Gaara first? If it's the former, that's fine. If it's the latter, then there's a big problem. Ebizo frowned. He said in a deep voice, "It's a bit strange. Gaara is on the ship of the Whitebeard Pirates, but his actions have not been imprisoned or bound." Indeed strange. In theory, since the Whitebeard Pirates are going to capture the Jinchuriki, now that they have caught the Jinchuriki, shouldn't they lock up the Jinchuriki? How can they let the Jinchuriki stand next to Whitebeard in such a fair and honest manner? Gaara's current situation does not look like a pirate's captive at all. This made Ebizo a little confused. What the hell is going on? Could it be that something happened to Gaara that we don't know about? On the other side, Raza's expression was very exciting. In his eyes, Gaara was the bargaining chip for negotiating with the Whitebeard Pirates, so he was eager to get Gaara back. But now the bargaining chip for negotiation has run to the ship of the Whitebeard Pirates, which made Raza unable to cope for a while. Raza couldn't help but gritted his teeth at Gaara. "Gaara, what are you doing? Come with me." Raza's voice, in this quiet atmosphere, was particularly clear. Upon hearing Raza's words, Gaara looked down expressionlessly and said, "No." A very simple word that left Raza stunned. The next moment, Gaara's voice continued to sound. "I will no longer be the Jinchuriki of Hidden Sand Village. Starting from tonight, the old Gaara is dead, a brand new Gaara will come to the ninja world." Raza's eyes widened in disbelief. What does this sentence mean? As Gaara stared at Raza, a sense of killing, disgust, and anger gradually emerged in his eyes. "Raza, you should still remember the incident 2 years ago when you sent Yashimaru to assassinate me?" He did not address Raza as his father. In Gaara's heart, the only person who could be called his father was now Whitebeard. Raza is not worthy. Raza was suddenly taken aback. "I already know all the truth. It turns out that Yashimaru was just a small pawn you used to test my capacity," Gaara said coldly. "The false truth you let him tell me has been completely exposed by my mother tonight." "Mother?" Raza was stunned. Every sentence that Gaara uttered made Raza a little unable to react. What does this have to do with Gaara's deceased mother? Until Raza saw a familiar woman appear on Moby Dick. He was stunned. Karakura? Raza was a bit skeptical whether he was under a Genjutsu. He actually saw his deceased wife appear on Moby Dick. His wife is standing next to Gaara. Chio was also taken aback. "Karura? Isn't this Raza's wife?" Ebizo squinted his muddy old eyes. Karura's eyes are not normal people's eyes. This looks like the eyes of summoning, impure world reincarnation? Chio took a deep breath. Summoning, impure world reincarnation? Was she resurrected by the Whitebeard Pirates? The Whitebeard Pirates actually mastered such a forbidden technique? Isn't his a forbidden technique of Hidden Leaf Village? At this moment, Raza's gaze met Karura's gaze in midair. Raza's eyes were shocked, and Karura's eyes were complicated. Karura's mood was even more complicated. She didn't know how to face her husband. Karura must have loved Raza, otherwise, Karura would not have become Raza's wife, nor would she have given birth to 3 children for Raza. But she found that Raza had changed. Raza has become completely different from the time of love and early marriage. The Kazekage Raza in Karura's memory would never treat his child like this. "Raza, why? Why did you do this?" Karura bit her lip and asked loudly. "I've heard about Gaara, he's our child. He's just a child. Why do you want a child to experience this darkness? 2 years ago, you ordered Yashimaru to tell Gaara the false truth about my death in order to test whether Gaara was a qualified Jinchuriki. You made Gaara mistakenly believe that I didn't love him, causing Gaara to lose control. Your actions have made our child become an uncontrollable Jinchuriki, but your way of saving it is to want to send the village's ninja to assassinate Gaara." Karura couldn't accept what her husband had done in this matter. She said it all out. She gritted her teeth and scolded loudly. "Do you know that what you are doing is a betrayal of your family? Are you still a father? Are you still a husband? Are you still a qualified Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village after doing such a thing? The reason why Gaara lost control 2 years ago is considered a secret in Hidden Sand Village. Very few people know about this. Obviously Raza intentionally controlled it to prevent public opinion from fermenting. Otherwise, if the villagers knew that the reason why Gaara went berserk and killed so many people that year was actually due to a test mistake made by this Kazekage, then this Kazekage would be scolded by the entire village. What Raza didn't expect was, the person who revealed this was not someone else, but his own wife. It was Karura. Chio raised her eyebrows, she looked at Raza's back, and murmured to herself, "It's over. If this matter is spread, Kazekage-sama may face a lot of pressure in public opinion." Ebizo coughed twice. Kazekage-sama was indeed a bit improper at the beginning. He did not communicate with us before testing Gaara. Obviously, these two higher-ups in the village knew the truth. They also knew that Kazekage was repeatedly send assassins to Gaara afterwards. The reason they didn't stop it was actually not glorious. Because the uncontrollable factors shown by Gaara are indeed a bit dangerous and do pose a threat to the village. Although Kazekage-sama's remedy method is a bit improper, it is also a method. On the other side, Raza was like sitting on pins and needles. Because he could feel one after another gaze, all focused on him. These gazes, in addition to the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates, there are also the ninjas in his own village. Even if Raza didn't look at these people, he could guess that most of the gazes were filled with shock and astonishment. Obviously, his golden body as the fourth Kazekage had several cracks, which was quite similar to the previous Sarutobi Hiruzen. Although most of the ninjas in the village didn't say a word, who knows what they think in their hearts. Even if only a small part of people believe what Karura said, it is also a fatal damage to Raza's reputation. "Whitebeard, what do you want to do?" Raza's mentality was a bit unbearable. He was sure this was a conspiracy by the Whitebeard pirates. Gaara appeared on Moby Dick, and Karura also appeared on the Moby Dick. How could it be such a coincidence? "Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr should be some leader's charisma on him, right? Now at a glance, he found that this little brat is just like that, he has no charisma at all. Whitebeard grinned. Invisible Conqueror's hockey swept across the entire hidden sand village. Foolish son, tell him what we want to do. Whitebeard's control of Conqueror's hockey is very precise. It just made the people of Hidden Sand Village feel a great pressure, and did not faint these people. Gar nodded. Okay, Pops. Raza. Chio. Ebazo. What? Pops? What's the situation? Under the stunned gaze of everyone, Gara, carrying a large gourd, took a step forward, and he shouted with boiling killing intent, we want to make Hidden Sand Village a vassal ninja village of the pirate group. And the fourth Kazekage Raza must pay the due price for his wrongdoing. This price is life. Gara couldn't bear it anymore, his eyes were filled with bloodshot. In his heart, there is no affection for Raza at all. Gara couldn't accept that Raza deliberately made him think that his mother didn't love him. He jumped directly off Moby Dick and launched a killing move attack on the stunned Raza. Gara clenched his teeth and quickly formed a seal, his eyes filled with hatred and killing intent. Sand iron cannon technique. A large amount of sand condensed into a sand ball with a diameter of 1 meter in front of him, and the sand ball flew towards Raza at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. Kazekage-sama, be careful. The Anbu guard next to Raza reacted first, and this person immediately stood in front of Raza. Wind style, scythe wind dance. The Anbu guard spat out several wind blades from his mouth, and the wind blades easily shattered the sand ball. Raza finally came back to his senses. His face became extremely ugly. Gara, you joined the Whitebeard pirates? You still want to kill me? This is treason. You bastard. Raza was surprisingly angry. He could use Gara as a bargaining chip in negotiations with Whitebeard, but if Gara chose to join the Whitebeard pirates himself, then Raza could not accept it. Not to mention that Gara also named him specifically to kill him. How outrageous. He is his father. His biological father. How dare he? Kazekage-sama, I think before you insult my family, you should look at your own situation. A strange voice sounded leisurely behind Raza. Raza's pupil shrank. He hurriedly turned his head to look. Tailless-tailed beast, Hoshigaki Kisame? He saw Kisame carrying the big sword Samada, who didn't know when he appeared behind him. Kazekage-sama, this is an order issued by Captain Whitebeard. What you did to Gara has crossed the bottom line that Captain Whitebeard can accept. Conan was fluttering with paper wings. She was floating above Raza. Raza looked up and saw that he didn't know Conan. But he felt that this woman was exuding a bone-chilling danger. This woman should also be from the Whitebeard pirates. The sound of a gentle sword draw sounded. Shizue leaned against a wall, holding a sword. Sorry, Kazekage-sama, I have to offend you tonight. Raza's face suddenly turned black as a pot. You are? Shishui of the body flicker. The sudden encirclement made Raza feel a great difficulty. It also made the few Anbu guards around him sweat coldly. Other hidden sand village ninjas saw this scene, and they also felt bad, and hurriedly wanted to come forward to help Raza, the Kazekage. But the next second, the evil chakra from the Nine Tails made everyone in the field shiver, and Naruto, who directly opened the half-beast transformation, blocked dozens of hidden sand village ninjas. The voices of Naruto and Kurama echoed. Whitebeard Pirates 1st Division Captain Naruto Uzumaki is here, move away. Sasuke also decisively opened the half-beast transformation. He was not willing to show weakness, and also blocked dozens of ninjas. Fuashi, Karen, Izumi and other crew members also started to go down one after another. On the Moby Dick, a door-to-door exaggerated cannon aimed at Hidden Sand Village. As long as these ninjas have any movement, those dozens of cannons will let the entire Hidden Sand Village feel what is called a bombardment. Another big battle. Tsunade watched the play on the ship. She was amazed. It seems that the reputation of the Whitebeard Pirates has been hit. Naruto and these little devils went down to stop people, and there really isn't a single person who dares to say that Raza. Hidden Sand Village is so weak. Sasori's cold and disdainful voice sounded. The last Kazekage was a trash, and this Kazekage is also a trash. Sasori's new puppet has been built, and he also stuffed his regeneration core into the new puppet. Seeing Hidden Sand Village being invaded by the Whitebeard Pirates, Sasori even felt a bit schadenfreude. Orochimaru chuckled, the Kazekages of all generations have a short life. What? Whitebeard glanced at the eager Hidden Sand Village ninjas. He grinned and said domineeringly. My stupid sons are dealing with some family affairs. Do you little brats want to interfere? Little brats of Hidden Sand Village, do you want to start a war with the Whitebeard Pirates? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr described as the last blow to the psychological defense line of Hidden Sand Village. One by one, the Hidden Sand Village ninjas couldn't help but swallow. They looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Go up and save Kazekage-sama? But can he be saved? It is said that tens of thousands of ninjas in Hidden Stones Village were defeated by the Whitebeard pirates. And all the ninjas in their Hidden Sand Village add up to just over 2,000. So, many people cast their eyes on Chio and Debizo, the two higher-ups of the village. Chio and Debizo remained silent. Because they also don't know what to do. Fighting with Whitebeard is the worst strategy. But the problem is, their Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village is surrounded by pirates. Gaara even named and surnamed to kill Kazekage. Chio looked at Ebizo and said, "You are the oldest, give us your command." Ebizo's mouth twitched. This old woman obviously didn't want to stick to the pot. He looked at his nose with his eyes, and his nose with his heart, and said a word. "We have to believe in Kazekage-sama." Chapter 326, Kazekage's Hope. Gaara's perfect-tailed beast transformation. Gaara, I will make the one-tailed Shukaku in your body cooperate with you as much as possible. Kakashi spoke faintly. He had once subdued the one-tailed Shukaku with Mengekyo Sharingan. His eyes wanted to control Shukaku. It was simply easy. Understood. Gaara nodded. The next second, he could feel the power of the tailed beast beginning to flood his body's meridians. Huh. Gaara exhaled a heavy breath, then he raised his head, staring at Raza in front of him with an ugly face. A sneer that did not match his age appeared on his small face. No one dares to help you, today is your death date. As the power of Shukaku infused into his body became more and more, Gaara's limbs underwent strange changes. Half of his body seemed to have turned into a beast. With a muffled sound of breaking through the air, Gaara disappeared instantly. When he appeared again, he was already above Raza, and he raised a huge palm and grabbed it down. Not good. Protect Kazekage-sama. A few Anbu guards next to Raza could only grit their teeth to block the attack for Kazekage-sama. 3 Anbu guards made hand seals with both hands, and at the same time they opened their mouths and vomited upwards, wind style, wind gate. The terrifying gale visible to the naked eye, like a blast wave, collided fiercely with Gaara's huge sharp claws in midair. With a boom, the attacks of both sides cancelled each other out in midair. Catch the Jinchuriki, as long as we catch him, we can help Kazekage-sama escape the predicament. An Anbu guard hurriedly said. But the next moment, a shadow quickly approached him. His peripheral vision caught the shadow, but the shadow came too fast, he couldn't dodge it at all. Bang! The same auto flying from the side hit this Anbu guard's body. The terrifying strength he carried sent him flying. He crashed heavily into a wall not far away. Ha, so many adults bullying an underage child, don't you feel ashamed? Kisame laughed grimly, and with a wave of his hand, Saimada returned to Kisame's hand. Shishui's figure disappeared in an instant. After all, the amazing teleportation jutsu was too fast to react. One of the remaining two Anbu guards felt a chill on his forehead. A warm current slowly flowed down from his forehead, and a broken hidden sand village forehead protector also fell to the ground. Gulp. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his pupils contracted and looked at the Shishui Uchiha who appeared in front of him. Good. Such a fast teleportation jutsu. Shishui's sword tip in his hand had already pierced his forehead skin and touched his skull. Uncle, don't move. Shishui said with a smile, politely, if you move, someone will die. Sheets of paper fell from the sky, making the last Anbun feel bad. But when he wanted to do something else, a large amount of falling paper had already wrapped him up. The paper had a unique stickiness, and after touching his clothes or skin, it stuck to it tightly. This Anbu guard took a closer look, his lips were trembling, and he let out a cry of fear. Explosive tags. The paper attached to the body is not ordinary paper, but explosive tags. The explosive tags attached to the body are estimated to be hundreds in total. The purple-haired woman in the sky who can fly, actually carries so many explosive tags with her? If these explosive tags explode at the same time, I guess even the ashes can't be found, right? Conan said expressionlessly, I think, you won't let me waste so many explosive tags, right? In less than 10 seconds, the three Anbu guards beside Raza were instantly controlled. Either they were seriously injured and fell to the ground, or they dared not move. In the field, only Gaara and Raza, the father and son, were confronting each other. Damn it. Raza's face was so gloomy that it was about to drip ink. Who would have thought that the people in the village could be so cowardly? As a Kazekage, he was surrounded by a group of pirates. The ninjas in the village just watched all this happen, but they didn't try to stop it. What do they mean? Want to watch him get killed? Gaara. Raza clenched his fists, only he knew that his palms were already sweating. Do you have to make such a fuss? You are being used by these pirates. Gaara was inevitably affected by Shukaku's power. A bit of reason, he sneered at Raza, that's what I'm willing to do. As soon as the words fell, he rushed towards Raza again. This time, there were no Anbu guards to stop Gaara for him, he could only do it himself. Watching Gaara waving the huge claw of Shukaku, Raza clasped his hands together and shouted in a deep voice, magnet-style gold dust piercing. A large amount of gold dust surged from the ground, turning into a huge drill bit and rushing towards Gaara. The drill collided with a claw of Shukaku, tearing the claw of Shukaku into a sky full of broken sand on the spot, and still rushing towards Gaara. All the sand in the gourd behind Gaara gushed out in the blink of an eye, turning into a huge sand shield to block in front of Gaara. Boom. The shield was also scattered by the gold dust drill, but Gaara's figure also disappeared immediately. Raza frowned, he decisively turned around and kicked out. The heel collided with Gaara's forearm, kicking Gaara out. Humphrey. Watching Gaara fly backwards and crash into a building, Raza snorted coldly, too weak. Besides using the brute force given to you by the tailed beast, what else can you do? The ruins of the building suddenly exploded in all directions, and Gaara rushed out from the collapsed building, with more parts of his body undergoing changes. He was like a brown beast, landing on all fours and letting out a terrifying roar. Not good, the Jinchuriki is out of control. A large group of hidden sand village ninjas behind him exclaimed, the Jinchuriki turned into a form similar to a tailed beast, isn't this out of control? They had experienced a tragedy caused by a Jinchuriki out of control 2 years ago. Raza's eyebrows were tightly furrowed and did not relax, he was on guard against Gaara on one hand, and on the other hand, he was wary of the white-beard pirates. He felt a great pressure. What Raza didn't know was that there were two people and one beast in Gaara's tailed beast seal space at this moment. One beast, naturally, was Shukaku. Two people, one was Gaara, the other was Kakashi. Hey, Uchiha kid, why should I agree to cooperate with this useless little brat? Shukaku said to Kakashi in an irritable tone. The reason why Kakashi appeared in Gaara's seal space was all because of his Mangekyo Sharingan Ganjutsu, which had already grasped Shukaku. First, my surname is Hatake, not Uchiha, I am not from the Uchiha clan. Second, as long as you are willing to live in harmony with Gaara, I will remove the Sharingan technique from your body. Kakashi was talking to Shukaku about the conditions, otherwise, you will be a puppet of my pair of eyes for the rest of your life. I think. You don't want to become like this in front of the Ninetales, do you? Shukaku bared his teeth. Kid, are you threatening me? Humphrey. But thinking of that damn Kurama, Shukaku cursed, kid, no tricks. Kakashi smiled. No problem. The negotiation ended, and Gaara's body suddenly burst out with even more astonishing chakra. The majestic chakra pushed Raza back a few steps. Raza's eyes widened. What is this? He watched as Gaara's body completely transformed into Shukaku's form and continued to expand. In just a few seconds it was already more than 10 meters high, and it was getting bigger and bigger. Until the complete form of the one-tailed Shukaku appeared inside Hidden Sand Village. Complete tailed beast transformation? Raza's face was extremely solemn. Is it running wild again? Roar. The freed Shukaku roared to the sky. It slowly lowered its head to look at Raza. Human, my Jinchuriki, is not someone you can bully. You have sealed me several times before, which made me very upset. Then, Shukaku seemed to say to Gaara. Kid, I will only help you this once. Raza. Raza's face was full of incredulity. He heard Shukaku's voice. What's going on? Is the one-tail helping Gaara? Gaara is not out of control? Not running wild? Is this a perfect tailed beast transformation under Gaara's control? What a joke. This Gaara guy in Hidden Sand Village is a time bomb that could go wild at any time, and he became a perfect Jinchuriki in the blink of an eye in the Whitebeard Pirates? Before Raza had time to think too much, Shukaku had already launched an attack. Speaking of which, Shukaku and Raza also had some grudges. Because every time Gaara went wild, it was Raza who suppressed it. Raza had sealed Shukaku several times. This made Shukaku very upset in terms of face. Not to mention, there is a stinky fox watching the show next to him. If he was sealed again by this Raza in front of the stinky fox, Shukaku would rather die. Today, it's going to show its true skills. Wind style, giant sphere vacuum bomb. Shukaku didn't care if his ninjutsu would affect anyone. The terrifying wind pressure it spat out was even more fierce than a typhoon. Visible to the naked eye, the wind waves were devastating, buildings were uprooted, and a large chunk of the ground was lifted. Raza's face changed dramatically. Magnet style, gold dust flow wall. He shouted loudly, slapping the ground heavily with both palms. A large amount of gold dust churned like waves, forming a wall several tens of meters high, firmly blocking Shukaku's wind-style ninjutsu. Raza's hands didn't stop. The speed of his hand seals was so fast that after images appeared, magnet style, gold dust boundary method. Poo-pip-pip-poo, a series of sharp gold dust rose from the ground like bamboo shoots, and crazily stabbed towards the huge Shukaku. On the spot, Shukaku's feet were pierced into a sieve, causing Shukaku to let out a roar of either anger or pain. Wind style, infinite sandstorm shot. Shukaku immediately counterattacked. A dense rain of sand bullets fell towards Raza. Each sand bullet was 1 meter in diameter. The battle scene between the tailed beast and the Kazekage scared the Hidden Sand Village ninjas to retreat quickly, so as not to be involved in the battle. The Whitebeard pirates and others were also watching all this. Izumi Uchiha touched her chin with a bit of confusion, muttering to herself, is it just me? I always feel that one tail is not as powerful as 8 tails or 9 tails. I don't know if Shukaku's ears are more sensitive, but her muttering was actually heard by Shukaku. Shukaku stared at Izumi Uchiha. Stinky brat. What do you know? I'm much more powerful than that stinky fox. Shukaku was so angry that it decisively opened its mouth, condensing a majestic chakra, and began to brew a tail beast bomb. Its action made Raza's hair stand on end, and he felt cold all over. Tail beast bomb? Raza knew very well that he couldn't let one tail successfully condense the tailed beast bomb, because he couldn't block it. Raza jumped up, his eyes met with Shukaku's open mouth. He squeezed the chakra in his body crazily, and a large amount of gold dust formed a tsunami of 100 meters high. Magnet style, gold dust burial. A large amount of gold dust rushed towards Shukaku, and Shukaku, the entire tailed beast, was drowned on the spot. Raza shouted in a deep voice, sealing technique, gold dust 5 elements violent binding. Dense curse marks began to appear on the surface of the gold dust. Raza tried to seal Shukaku's chakra. Even if he couldn't seal it, he could block Shukaku from condensing the tail beast bomb. Gorara, this raccoon is a bit embarrassing. He just being buried alive like this? Whitebeard let out a light laugh. He was already too lazy to wait. In Whitebeard's eyes, Raza, a person who betrayed his family, as long as he lived for 1 more second, Whitebeard's displeasure would increase a few points. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed slightly, the smile on his face became arbitrarily domineering. A group of vibrating light waves had already enveloped his right fist. Raza had been on guard against the Whitebeard pirates, especially Whitebeard. When he saw that Whitebeard seemed to be moving, Raza's expression changed dramatically. Not good. He hurriedly responded, magnet style, gold dust armor. Gold dust formed a very solid armor on the surface of his body. In the next moment, Whitebeard's hearty laughter echoed through the night sky. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr With Whitebeard's punch hitting the air, a strong vibration spread throughout Hidden Sand Village. The large amount of gold sand covered by Shukaku was scattered instantly. What followed was as if the whole world was spinning, and the strong vibration instantly affected Raza's body. Pua! Raza vomited a mouthful of blood, and his gold sand armor was of no use. He felt as if his internal organs were about to be shattered. Moreover, what horrified Raza even more was, from the corner of his eye, he saw the tailed beast bomb condensed by Shukaku. Under Whitebeard's sudden intervention, it was not interrupted. A huge tailed beast bomb had already formed. Raza, who was in midair, smelled the crisis of death. But the strong vibration in the air made his body immobile. Roar! With Shukaku's roar, the tail Kakuo turned into a terrifying beam of light, illuminating the entire desert night sky. And completely swallowed Raza. Chapter 327, Shaking the Ninja World. Deidara's Pursuit of Art. The fourth Kazekage is dead, killed by his own son Gaara. He didn't leave a whole body, not even a bit of corpse debris. All the ninjas in the village could only see the terrifying beam of light illuminating the sky, flying over Hidden Sand Village. When the beam of light disappeared, everyone looked in the direction of the light-speed flight, and there was a gasp of cold air. With the not-so-bright moonlight, you can see that several desert hills in the distance have been leveled. Such terrifying power. If it falls in a Hidden Sand Village, I'm afraid the entire village will be destroyed. Is this the power of the tailed beast? Is this the horror of the tailed beast? Kazekage-sama. A Hidden Sand Village ninja couldn't help but swallow, trying to forcibly suppress the fear in his heart, and murmured in shock. Is he still alive? Unless Kazekage-sama is also a tailed beast, otherwise. It's more likely to be bad than good? Next to him, another Hidden Sand Village ninja's voice was trembling. They found that their decision to believe in Kazekage-sama was correct. If they rashly went to rescue Kazekage-sama, I'm afraid their end will be the same as Kazekage-sama. Of course, they didn't save Kazekage-sama, not just because they were afraid of the military power of the Whitebeard pirates. Mainly, some of Kazekage-sama's past events were exposed, making them hesitate for a while whether to save such a person. Anyway, the dead Raza took all the blame. The sky of the ninja world has changed again. Ebizo coughed heavily. He looked up at the huge Shukaku, and then looked at the Moby Dick which was bigger than Shukaku. The Whitebeard pirates killed the fourth Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village. Logically speaking, Ebizo should be hostile to the Whitebeard pirates. But in the end, Ebizo knows the situation very clearly. If you choose to antagonize Whitebeard pirates, then the entire village will follow the footsteps of the fourth Kazekage. Presumably. Kazekage-sama in the underworld should also understand the village's decision, right? If he doesn't understand, then there's nothing to be done. Ebizo could only mourn for Raza in his heart for a second. After Whitebeard's pirate crew killed the Kazekage, will they stop? Chio, who was standing by, voiced such a concern. Ebizo fell silent. Because he was also uncertain. Raza. Gaara stared blankly as her husband died at the hands of the one-tail Shukaku, or rather, died at the hands of their child Gaara. Her feelings at the moment were indescribable. Then, Gaara couldn't help but look at Shukaku, her eyes filled with worry. Gaara. After all, Raza was Gaara's father, his biological father with whom he shared blood ties. Gaara was worried that after Gaara killed his biological father, there would be some irreversible changes in his psyche. Yashimaru stood next to Gaara and said, "Sister, perhaps when we return to the underworld, we can find your husband and persuade him to forgive Gaara's actions. Gaara's action tonight was not Gaara's fault, it was my brother-in-law who pushed his child too far." Temari was also staring blankly at the empty sky. There used to be a Raza there. Father is dead. Temari's feelings were extremely complicated. She did not support her father's actions towards Gaara. But that was her father after all. Then, Temari glanced at the still unconscious Kankuro. If I could be like this idiot and stay unconscious, that would be great. At this moment, the body of the one-tail Shukaku began to shrink. It kept its promise and helped Gaara once. And this time Shukaku did not use Gaara's body to cause destruction. Mainly because Whitebeard's pirate crew had a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan. Shukaku was very wary of Kakashi's eyes. So, Gaara transformed from a full-tailed beast form into a normal human form. But his physical condition was a bit worrying. Transforming into a full-tailed beast at such a young age seemed to have overdrawn his body to some extent. Gaara, as if losing consciousness, fell from the sky several tens of meters high. Whoosh! A figure soared into the sky with huge wings and gently caught Gaara. Conan flew to Moby Dick and put Gaara down. Right next to Whitebeard. Gorara, the last-tailed beast bomb finally looks decent. Whitebeard let out a chuckle. He said to Shizune, "Kid, take my stupid son for some good medical treatment. Best not to leave any hidden injuries." "Ah. Oh. Okay." Shizune nodded hurriedly like a pecking chicken, holding Taunton. and then rushed to take Gaara to the medical room on Moby Dick. Watching Shizune leave, Whitebeard withdrew his gaze. The next moment, he set his sights on the hidden sand village in front of him. Whitebeard's face showed a domineering and rugged smile. The invisible conqueror's haki was released, and it seemed as if a gust of wind had blown through the entire hidden sand village. Every ninja and civilian present seemed to have experienced a great terror, and their backs were completely soaked with cold sweat in an instant. When their gaze turned to Moby Dick, they couldn't help but hang a few points of fear and dread. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Sand Village is a vassal ninja village of the Whitebeard pirates. This is what I am saying. Who wants to oppose me? Whitebeard's domineering declaration made everyone in Hidden Sand Village dare not utter a word of opposition. In fact, many of them had already prepared to join the Whitebeard pirates. After all, everyone knew that the Whitebeard pirates would definitely target Hidden Sand Village one day. Everyone knew how powerful the Whitebeard pirates were. Some ninjas who were a bit disgruntled with Whitebeard's words, when they saw that everyone around them remained silent. They opened their mouths, but dared not say anything more. Many ninjas felt that the events of the night were too dreamlike. In the blink of an eye, their fourth Kazekage was killed. In another blink of an eye, Hidden Sand Village had a new father. Perhaps this is fate. Abizo shook his head helplessly. He had no intention of resisting, fortunately. Our Hidden Sand Village is not the only village invaded by pirates. Compared to Hidden Mist Village, Hidden Stones Village, Hidden Clouds Village, our Hidden Sand Village has held out for quite a long time. At this point, he could only find some psychological balance from this aspect. The next day, during the day. Last night, everyone in the village was sleepless. After all, with such a big commotion, if anyone could sleep, they really had a big heart. In fact, many civilians didn't know what happened last night. They only knew that there was a mysterious battle between ninjas last night. Then a terrifying monster appeared, then the whole village began to shake, then there was a lightning flying by, and then there was no more. When they finally made it to daylight, they walked out of their homes with trepidation. They could see that many houses in the village had varying degrees of damage. Many walls had a lot of fine cracks, which should have been caused by the intense shaking last night. It wasn't until they tried to communicate with the ninjas in the village that they were shocked to find out that the fourth Kazekage of the village had been killed by pirates last night. Even, from now on, Hidden Sand Village is a vassal ninja village of the Whitebeard pirates. Ah, this. Pirates. They wouldn't be those terrifying and brutal bandits, would they? And how can there be pirates in the desert? Hidden Sand Village is not in a coastal area. I heard that these pirates' ships can sail in the desert. Their captain is a man called Whitebeard. Whitebeard? Sounds familiar. Whitebeard? Hiss. Is it the Whitebeard who has a bounty of several billion? So it's him. I heard his bounty is more than just a 1 billion, right? With the unease and fear of the people of Hidden Sand Village, pirate flags began to hang on the taller buildings in the village. This symbolizes that the Whitebeard pirates have planted their flag in Hidden Sand Village. And this news is spreading at an extremely fast speed in all directions. In less than 3 days, the whole Land of Wind knew about this. The daimyo of the Land of Wind quickly left the Land of Wind under the pretext of going out for a visit to avoid trouble. After all, Whitebeard held the daimyo's life in his hands. Under such circumstances, how could the daimyo of the Land of Wind not be afraid? 7 days later, the news spread throughout the ninja world. Land of Earth, Hidden Stones Village. Sure enough, I didn't guess wrong. The next one to suffer is Hidden Sand Village. The third Sushi Kage, Oinaki, sighed slightly, and the fourth Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village was killed. Speaking of which, his old bones almost died in the hands of the Whitebeard pirates last time. Oinaki believes that Roz's death is not because the Whitebeard pirates are brutal. Because from his understanding of the Whitebeard pirates are actually quite reasonable. They are not brutal pirates. So the death of the fourth Kazekage, Roza, might have some hidden story. Perhaps, he offended the Whitebeard pirates somewhere and touched the bottom line of the pirate group. Sushi Kage-sama, it's bad. Suddenly, a ninja rushed into the Sushi Kage's office. What's wrong? Oinaki asked with a frown. Diodara is gone. I only found a note in his room, and the note said he was going to pursue his art. Oinaki suddenly stood up. What? Somewhere in the ninja world. The one tail fell into Whitebeard's hands. Aren't you worried? Atachi Uchiha, with his arms crossed and a blank expression, hid from Black Zetsu and said. Black Zetsu had a gloomy face, saying he wasn't worried was naturally false, but he had to hide his anxiety. Don't talk too much. Black Zetsu said coldly. The Six-Tails Jinchuriki Utakata of Hidden Mist Village appeared in this town a month ago. We have to get him before the Whitebeard pirates find him. Biwajazo, carrying Kubikirdacho, looked into the distance and said, Hey, is your information reliable? It's too troublesome to find a person in such a big town, isn't it? Black Zetsu snorted, doesn't the bloody hidden mist village ninja even have this patience? Biwajazo shrugged his shoulders. This tailed beast capture squad composed of 3 people naturally formed an alliance privately. Itachi Uchiha didn't trust Black Zetsu, so he pulled Biwajazo into the group. For this, Black Zetsu had no choice. Biwajazo glanced at Itachi Uchiha and then at Black Zetsu. Probably. Neither of these 2 guys expected that Biwajazo should be the deepest hidden one among the 3. Meanwhile, Hidden Mist Village. As soon as Maitru Mummy returned to Hidden Mist Village, she heard that the Whitebeard pirates had done another big thing. A Hidden Mist Village Chunin next to Maitru Mummy couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Maitru Mummy-sama, how long has it been since we last saw Whitebeard-sama? Whitebeard-sama has already taken care of Hidden Sand Village? Actually, Maitru Mummy was also very shocked in her heart. Although Hidden Sand Village is the same as Hidden Mist Village, they are the weakest among the 5 major ninja villages. But after all, it is also one of the 5 major ninja villages. Maitru Mummy sighed with emotion, so this is Whitebeard-sama. And I heard that the 4th Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village also died at the hands of Whitebeard's pirate crew. Maitru Mummy muttered, in this case, does the 4th Mizukage have a companion now? On the other side, in Hidden Leaf Village, Sarutobe Hiruzen had already smoked half a bag of expensive tobacco, and the entire Hokage office was filled with smoke. When Denzo pushed open the door in his wheelchair, he even thought that Sarutobe Hiruzen, this old monkey, had learned some kind of smoke escape technique. Cough cough cough. Denzo was choked and coughed several times, but he couldn't care less, and hurriedly said to Sarutobe Hiruzen, Sarutobe, have you received the information? Sarutobe Hiruzen tried to hide the worry on his face. He held his pipe and asked in a deep voice, what do you think? Denzo gritted his teeth and said, first it was Hidden Mist Village, then Hidden Clouds Village, followed by Hidden Stones Village, and then Hidden Sand Village. In the end, only our Hidden Leaf Village is left among the 5 great ninja villages. Sarutobe, if we don't take some measures now, what if Whitebeard's pirate crew returns to Hidden Leaf Village? Those ambitious pirates definitely want to push the entire ninja world, they definitely want to conquer the entire ninja world. Hearing Denzo's words, Sarutobe Hiruzen asked, so, what's your plan? Why not say it? Denzo was taken aback, his old face showed a bit of embarrassment. This is the thing that I want to discuss with you. Denzo doesn't have a plan. He does have some immature ideas in his heart, but those immature ideas, once they encounter the incredibly powerful force of Whitebeard, are like using an egg to hit a piece of steel. Sarutobe Hiruzen and Denzo fell into a deathly silence one after another. The words Whitebeard's pirate crew are like a nightmare. They have always lingered in their hearts. Chapter 328, The Ruins of Urin. The Power of Time Travel. Time, in the blink of an eye, it's half a month later. Whitebeard's pirate crew has already left Hidden Sand Village, and when they left, they took 3 people from Hidden Sand Village, namely Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari. Gaara will go with Whitebeard's pirate crew because he has recognized Whitebeard as his father. Kankuro and Temari, on the other hand, were requested by their mother Karura to be taken away by Whitebeard's pirate crew. Karura let Temari and Kankuro follow Gaara. In Karura's eyes, she and Raza are already dead, and now Gaara only has Temari and Kankuro, 2 blood relatives. The 3 children have lost their parents, so they should naturally support each other and help each other, so they won't be bullied. In addition, Karura is worried that if Temari and Kankuro stay in Hidden Sand Village, they will encounter some bad things. After all, her husband Raza was the Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village in his lifetime, and he must have offended some people in the village. Karura couldn't guarantee that those people wouldn't secretly target Temari and Kankuro, who didn't have a father's protection. So, letting Temari and Kankuro follow Gaara out of Hidden Sand Village was Kankuro's way of protecting these 2 children. Temari and Kankuro had no objections to this. After all, this was their mother's advice and request. They were quite nervous and uneasy in the first few days when they joined the Moby Dick. After all, the Whitebeard pirates were a group of pirates, and they were just children. But as time passed day by day, they found that the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates seemed quite peaceful. Completely different from what they had imagined. If it weren't for the pirate flag hanging on the ship, they would think that these people on the ship were not pirates. So, the 2 of them calmed down a bit. They're so powerful. They look younger than us, but their strength is so strong. They're like 2 experienced adult ninjas. Kankuro swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his face full of shock as he watched Sasuke and Naruto spar. Temari said, after all, they are both Jinchuriki. Just like Gaara, they are very powerful. At this time, Sasuke, who was sparring with Naruto, Heard a voice from the two tails, Matatabi, inside him. Sasuke, I have some information that your pops might be interested in. Sasuke was taken aback, and the action he was about to attack also stopped involuntarily. Seeing this, Naruto also quickly stopped his action. Naruto couldn't help but ask curiously. What's wrong? Sasuke responded. Matatabi has something to say to me. Then, Matatabi's voice continued, there is a very special mental connection between tailed beasts, and because of this special mental connection, tailed beasts can have a conversation in a special space. At the same time, tailed beasts can also sense each other's existence, even if they are very far apart, they can vaguely feel each other's presence. Until a certain tailed beast dies, it will not be able to sense its presence. After saying this, Matatabi paused, and then continued, but once the dead tailed beast revives, its presence will be sensed by other tailed beasts again. I sensed the presence of the three tails, it has revived. Matatabi's words were shocking, and Sasuke's eyes widened. What's wrong? What's wrong? Naruto's curiosity was piqued. What did Matatabi say to you? Sasuke calmed his emotions a bit, and responded to Naruto. Matatabi said, the three tails has revived. Naruto didn't react at first. Three tails? Who? Stupid Naruto. The three tails is a tailed beast. It's the one that Pops killed. Sasuke couldn't help but roll his eyes. Naruto suddenly realized, oh, I remember now. Naruto immediately got excited. In that case, can we go and catch it directly? Does Matatabi know where it is? Sasuke first asked Matatabi, and after getting a response, Sasuke shook his head. She doesn't know. Matatabi can only sense the presence of the three tails, but she can't sense where the presence is specifically. TSK, where else would that turtle revive? It must be somewhere with a lot of water. Kurama yawned, and casually mentioned it in Naruto's ceiling space. After hearing this, Naruto touched his chin, a place with a lot of water. Naruto twitched the corner of his mouth. That's too vague. On the other side, Kisame, who was steering the ship, vaguely noticed something in the desert ahead. He couldn't help but squint his eyes for a closer look, only to find a very dilapidated ruin. Hey, you two brats from Hidden Sand Village. Kisame asked Temari and Kankuro, who were closest to him. What's that ahead? Kankuro swallowed nervously. He dared not answer Kisame's question. He could only hurry up and look into the distance. Kankuro was stunned. Eh? That's a ruin. Idiot, don't you think people know that's a ruin? Temari knocked on her stupid brother's head and complained. Obviously, they are asking you what that ruin is. After complaining, she also looked ahead. What came into view was a large-scale ruin, with broken walls and remnants everywhere, coupled with the rolling yellow sand of the desert. It looked unusually desolate and lonely. Could this be a town in the Land of Wind that has experienced a major earthquake? Temari had just muttered a guess when she realized something was wrong. But the strange architectural style in the ruins doesn't seem to be the style of the Land of Wind. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration crossed her mind. Temari's eyes widened. Wait a minute. Ruins. Desert. Exotic architecture. She suddenly remembered a term. Temari quickly said. Uncle Pirate, can I see the map? Kisame threw a map to Temari. This is a map of the Land of Wind. Temari spread out the map and asked. Uncle Pirate, where are we now? Kisame said. The northwest corner of the map. Northwest corner. Temari gasped. Then it's correct. Temari explained. If I'm not mistaken, the ruins ahead should be the legendary Uran. Kankuro also widened his eyes. Uran? We passed Uran? Obviously, Kankuro had also heard of Uran. Before Kisame could ask, Temari took the initiative to introduce. Uran is a special place in the desert. My understanding of it is limited to what was mentioned in the ninja school textbook. The book says that Uran was once a very rich place and guarded a very special thing. But the textbook didn't say what it was. Kisame glanced at the ruins ahead. Oh? Rich? Temari explained again. The book also says. In recent years, Uran has become destitute due to environment, climate, civil strife, war, etc. Many people who used to live here have moved away one after another. A few years ago, Uran also experienced a terrifying sandstorm, which destroyed many buildings. This made Uran, which was already sparsely populated, even more desolate. Temari swallowed and continued. The ruins ahead should be the buildings destroyed by the sandstorm. In the ruins, there should still be some natives, right? Kisame nodded. Since there might be people living in the ruins, Moby Dick couldn't just rush through. After all, Kisame is not a murderous maniac. Kakashi, what's wrong with you? Kisame suddenly noticed that Kakashi had come over at some point and was also looking ahead. And he noticed a look of astonishment in Kakashi's eyes. Kisame raised an eyebrow. You seem to be familiar with this place? I'm not unfamiliar with it, a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, less than 10 years ago, I came here. Kakashi let out a slight sigh. The kid was right, this place is indeed called Ruin. I didn't expect it to become like this after just a few years. Kakashi continued, when Minato-sensei was still alive, he once took me on a mission, and it was that mission that brought us here. Having said that, he looked at Temari. The things not mentioned in your Hidden Sand Village textbooks are probably the dragon veins of Ruin. Dragon veins. Kisame was interested. Sounds a bit unusual. Kakashi said, actually, I don't understand it very well. As far as I know, the dragon veins are the life veins of the ninja world, where the most chakra in the ninja world converges. If the dragon veins are used improperly, the entire land will suffer a devastating blow. And the dragon veins seem to have the power to travel through time and space. This point, I should have seen it with my own eyes. When I was on a mission with Minato-sensei, there were a few people who claimed to come from the future. Speaking of which, one of them looked quite like Minato-sensei, with golden hair, blue eyes, and a hedgehog head. Kisame was enlightened. There is such a thing in the ninja world? Kisame was a little curious. There is such a special treasure, why isn't anyone coveting it? Kakashi said, the dragon veins have been sealed by Minato-sensei a long time ago. Minato-sensei inherited the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan. Even if someone covets the dragon veins of Lulan, they must have the ability to unlock the seal. Kisame understood, so the fourth Hokage put a shackle on the dragon veins. Good guy, the ninjas of Hidden Lee Village really have a wide range of control. How far is this from the Land of Fire? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr you people? Whitebeard, holding Murakamagiri, looked at the ruins of Urin. He couldn't help but squint his eyes. Whitebeard is not a native of the Hokage world, he knows he came from another world. This also means that Whitebeard is very sensitive to the term time and space travel. Pops, you seem to be very interested? Kakashi asked tentatively. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr you stupid sons to see my home down. Pops, I'm not from the ninja world. Gorara. Kakashi. Kisame. Meanwhile, somewhere in the ninja world. Six Tails Jinchuriki, that's all. Itachi Uchiha gently wiped the blood oozing from the corner of his eye. He had just used the power of Mangekyo Sharingan to defeat the Six Tails Jinchuriki Utakata. Yes, Black Zetsu's information is very reliable. The three of them directly caught the Six Tails Jinchuriki Utakata, and led him into a trap. It took less than 10 minutes to take him down. Black Zetsu looked at the Six Tails Jinchuriki lying on the ground, covered in blood, and unconscious. He nodded in satisfaction. It seems that Itachi Uchiha is indeed a qualified substitute for Obito. He couldn't help but glance at Biwajuzo. This guy named Biwajuzo also performed quite well. At this moment, Biwajuzo asked, "So how are we going to deal with this Jinchuriki next? I heard that the Whitebeard pirates have a special method to extract the tailed beast from the Jinchuriki. Do we also have this special method?" Black Zetsu hummed. "I have plenty of methods to extract the tailed beast in my hands. The most convenient method is naturally to use Jidomazo to directly extract the tailed beast. However, to use Jidomazo, you have to get past Nagato first." Black Zetsu had a headache. He's not a fool, he could see Nagato's suspicion of him. And this hunt for the Six Tails by Black Zetsu was actually done behind Nagato's back. Tie him up for now. Black Zetsu put aside the miscellaneous thoughts in his mind and said. Biwajuzo's eyes flashed with a different color, and he took the initiative to step forward. "I'll do it." He used a rope to tie up the unconscious Six Tails Jinchuriki tightly, and also added a sealing technique to the Jinchuriki's abdomen. In this way, even if the Six Tails Jinchuriki woke up halfway, the other party would temporarily be unable to mobilize chakra. Biwajuzo had some thoughts in his heart. He knew that he couldn't let the Jinchuriki fall into the hands of this weird guy called Black Zetsu. After all, Whitebeard-sama was hunting all the tailed beasts. If the Six Tails fell into the hands of this Black Zetsu, wouldn't that mean one less tailed beast for the Whitebeard pirates? But the problem he faced was, how to snatch the Six Tails Jinchuriki. And how to secretly transport the Jinchuriki to the Whitebeard pirates. If he tried to do it forcibly, it would definitely not work. Biwajuzo was very clear that he was not Itachi Uchiha's opponent, let alone there was a guy called Zetsu next to him. He carried the Jinchuriki on his shoulder while thinking secretly. Right. Biwajuzo suddenly thought of a method. He didn't need to find a way to secretly send the Six Tails Jinchuriki to the Whitebeard pirates. He just needed to pass this news to the Whitebeard pirates. And then pass the specific location of the Jinchuriki. That's all it takes. In this way, the Whitebeard pirates would naturally come over. Chapter 329, Dragon Vein and Whitebeard Pirates. Unsealing. Indeed, there are still some original inhabitants living in the ruins of Urin. They may not want to leave their ancestral home, or perhaps they want to protect the Dragon Vein here. Today, the people in the ruins of Urin found something unusual happening. A ship, such a big ship. A middle-aged man ran into the deepest part of the ruins in panic. He shouted breathlessly at the crowd in front of him, "A big ship has come outside, it's as big as a mountain." The deepest part of the ruins is where the original inhabitants live. This place is considered an oasis in the ruins of Urin. The buildings here are relatively intact compared to other places. At least they can accommodate people. A ship. How could there be a ship in the desert? Obviously, some people didn't believe what the middle-aged man said. It really is a ship. A big ship. The middle-aged man was gesturing as he spoke, trying to make the crowd in front of him believe what he said. Just as others wanted to say something, suddenly, a violent shaking startled everyone. And they also heard a not-so-small noise coming from not far away, as if some huge object was slowly moving. People couldn't help but look in the direction of the sound, but their view was blocked by the surrounding ruins. Some clever people hurriedly climbed up a relatively high tower and looked out into the distance. As a result, they were stunned. Ship. This person shouted in panic at the crowd below, "It really is a big ship." As soon as the words fell, everyone was shocked. Is there really a ship in the desert? What's going on? Someone suddenly thought of something. Could it be that ninjas coveting the Dragon Vein have come? Meanwhile, on the other side, Moby Dick is parked next to these ruins of Urin, guarded by Kisame, Shizui, Izumi and others. Whitebeard, Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Conan entered the ruins of Urin. "I didn't expect you to come too." Kakashi glanced at the cold-faced Conan next to him. "You seem to be interested in the Dragon Vein of Urin too?" Conan didn't hide it. She nodded openly. "Indeed, I have also heard about the legend of the Dragon Vein, but I have always been unclear about where Urin is. I didn't expect to encounter it today." Kakashi put his hands in his pockets and casually said, "A legend that even the Akatsuki knows about. I guess, your Akatsuki must have planned for the Dragon Vein, right?" Conan gave Kakashi a light look. This time she didn't respond, but this is also considered a default. Such a special thing, how could the Akatsuki not have thought about it? Pops, are you really not from the ninja world?" Naruto asked Whitebeard like a curious baby. This is the first time Whitebeard has admitted that he is not from the ninja world. The previous Whitebeard just vaguely said that his hometown was not here. Gorurura, of course not. Whitebeard held Murakami in one hand and slashed forward lightly. The ruins blocking the way in front were cut open, and the smooth cut was a straight path. Whitebeard laughed heartily and responded, "The world where Pops is, there are not so many ninjas. There is no chakra, tailed beasts, KK Genkai. It's a magnificent world, I'll take you to see it when I have a chance." This time, it was Kakashi leading the way. Because he had followed Minato to this place once before, he also knew the specific location where Minato-sensei sealed the Dragon Vein. He tried hard to recall the route in his memory, leading everyone around in this ruin, walking for more than half an hour. Finally, Kakashi stopped. "We're here." Kakashi looked at the huge chimneys that emerged from the ground in front of him, and said, "Under our feet is a huge secret room, and inside the secret room is the source of the Dragon Vein. And this row of chimneys is the ventilation duct of the secret room. We can directly enter the underground Dragon Vein from the ventilation duct." Just as Kakashi finished speaking, Naruto suddenly noticed something. Suddenly, a courageous loud shout came from behind. Who are you guys? What are you going to do with the Dragon Vein?" Kakashi looked back and muttered, "There really are people here." In Kakashi's line of sight, he could see a group of and ruins indigenous people dressed like desert refugees. Unexpectedly, Urin, which was so glorious back then, would also fall into such a state. He felt that these people all carried a kind of vigilant hostility. Kakashi explained, "We are the Whitebeard pirates, we have no malice, we just want to enter the Dragon Vein, that's all." Obviously, Kakashi's explanation is hard to believe. After all, they already want to enter the Dragon Vein, and they still say they have no malice. The Dragon Vein is something Urin has guarded for generations. If you want to seize the Dragon Vein, you have to step over our bodies. Some people were scared by Whitebeard's huge size and couldn't speak fluently, but they still tried to leave a harsh word. Another person hurriedly said, "Our new Urin is not far from the ruins. If you dare to seize the Dragon Vein, Queen Sara will definitely send a large army to encircle you." Naruto touched his chin. "Queen Sara?" Kakashi explained. "She is the queen of the Urin ruins, I have met her once. It sounds like she took many of Urin's residents and left here, and found a new place nearby to rebuild Urin. Oh. Naruto realized, he sighed with emotion. She is a very remarkable old lady. Kakashi had a black line on his head. When I came here to carry out the mission last time, the queen was only 17 or 18 years old, right? Now she is only in her early 30s, calling her an old lady is too much. Conan interjected. There's no need to explain so much to these people, otherwise, you won't be able to explain it clearly after explaining for a long time. Why don't you just temporarily hypnotize them with your Sharingan? Alright. Kakashi accepted Conan's suggestion. His eyes with 3 Tomoe Sharingan swept over a group of people, and the Genjutsu from Sharingan was activated instantly. Most of these Ruin Ruins indigenous people are ordinary people, even if a few of them can use 1 or 2 ninjutsu, it's useless in front of Sharingan. They all stood still on the spot, all affected by Genjutsu. Seeing this scene, Sasuke's eyes became even hotter. He couldn't wait to awaken 3 Tomoe, or even Mangekyo. It wasn't until Naruto's voice sounded that Sasuke's thoughts were interrupted. I'll go first. I'll go first. He. Naruto somehow climbed onto a huge ventilation duct, and he stomped down and kicked the glass of the ventilation duct. He fell directly from the ventilation duct. Seeing this, Sasuke's mouth twitched. Stupid Naruto, what if there's a trap inside, isn't his sending you to death? Although he complained like this, Sasuke still followed immediately. Fortunately, the ventilation duct was big enough, and Conan, Kakashi, and Whitebeard also went in. Bang! Whitebeard's massive body fell straight down for several tens of meters before it finally landed steadily on the ground, stomping out a large pit under his feet. Whitebeard's pair of eyes swept around, it's so dark. The underground chamber was very dim, with only a row of ventilation holes on the ceiling letting in light. Upon hearing Whitebeard's words, Sasuke immediately borrowed the power of the 2 tails. Sasuke's arm ignited a blue flame, and the light of the flame filled the entire chamber in the blink of an eye. Is this where the source of the dragon vein is sealed? Conan murmured thoughtfully, many places inside here are damaged, as if there had been a battle. Kakashi spoke up, it's the traces left by Minato-sensei's battle with the puppet master years ago. After saying that, Kakashi led everyone to a platform. This place was relatively intact, with no traces of battle. Moreover, in the center of the platform was a very conspicuous sealing technique, with a specially made kunai inserted on top. Is this the 4th Hokage's seal? Conan asked. Kakashi nodded, yes. Naruto muttered, is this my biological father's seal? What would happen if the seal was opened? Kakashi was embarrassed, I suggest you give up this dangerous idea, we don't have a gentle way to unlock Minato-sensei's seal. Minato-sensei inherited the Uzumaki clan sealing technique. Kakashi paused, then continued, if you use a violent method to crack this seal, it is likely to cause the dragon vein to explode and destroy everything with its terrifying power. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Kakashi, knocking on Kakashi's forehead. Ouch! Kakashi cried out in pain. Who would have thought that he, already an adult, would still be given a chestnut by Pops? Whitebeard grinned. Isn't it just the Uzumaki clan sealing technique? On my ship, there are 2 daughters with the surname Uzumaki. Could Naruto's irresponsible father's sealing technique be better than my Whitebeard's daughter? Kakashi was speechless. Yes. He had forgotten about this. Minato-sensei's Uzumaki clan sealing technique came from Kushina. And Kushina's sealing technique naturally came from Uzumaki village. Uzumaki Fuushi, Uzumaki Karen's sealing technique also came from Uzumaki village. They are of the same origin as Kushina. Under these circumstances, it's really hard to say who is more powerful between Fuushi's sealing technique and Minato-sensei's. Pops, do you want to open the dragon vein? Kakashi asked tentatively. Whitebeard laughed. What? Stupid son, don't you want to see what my hometown looks like? No matter whether the dragon vein of the ninja world can do this or not, Whitebeard wants to try. He misses those stupid sons quite a bit. Even if there is only a glimmer of possibility. Whitebeard wants to try. Before long, a few professionals arrived in the chamber where the source of the dragon vein was sealed. Among them, one is Uzumaki Fuushi, who is proficient in the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, and the other is the ninja world scientist Orochimaru. The reason why Orochimaru was brought here is because Orochimaru has demonstrated his scientific research capabilities on Moby Dick multiple times. Perhaps, through Orochimaru's talent, the dragon vein can be used more properly to achieve Whitebeard's desired goal. It is indeed our Uzumaki clan's sealing technique. After examining a sealing formula, Uzumaki Fuushi said with a frown. The 4th Hokage should have used this special sealing technique to forcibly suppress the power of the dragon vein. She looked at Whitebeard and said, Pops, this sealing technique cannot calm the restless dragon vein. It can only suppress the restless dragon vein. What it means is, if this seal is released, the restless power of the dragon vein will explode instantly. Whitebeard raised an eyebrow. Oh? However, there is a solution. Faashi took a deep breath. As long as we set up a few sealing techniques around in advance, and then release the fourth Hokage's seal. When the power of the dragon vein is about to explode, activate the preset sealing technique. As long as we are fully prepared, not only can we release the fourth Hokage's seal, but we can also calm the power of the dragon vein. In terms of sealing techniques, Uzumaki Faashi is quite confident. Whitebeard showed a hearty smile. Gorara. You are indeed my Whitebeard's daughter. Then do as you think. Okay, Pops. Time slowly passed. Half an hour later. Uzumaki Faashi had already prepared everything and was cracking Minato Namikage's sealing technique. She began to quickly approach with both hands, and softly shouted. Ninja art, Vajra reverse unsealing technique. Several golden chains suddenly drilled out of her body, each chain connected to a kunai stuck in the ground. That kunai is Minato Namikage's kunai. It is also the eye of this sealing technique. Rise. The golden chain connected to the kunai suddenly tightened, pulling the kunai out alive. The sealing technique on the ground also visibly receded. But the next second, the entire secret room began to shake. After the seal was lifted, the power of the dragon vein began to surge violently, and the purple special chakra filled the secret room like a tide. It was a very violent power. Is this the power of the dragon vein? Naruto stared wide-eyed at the special chakra constantly gushing out of the source of the dragon vein. Sasuke's pupil shrank. I feel a very dangerous omen. The shaking in the secret room became more and more intense, cracks began to appear on the walls, and a lot of dust and rubble fell from the ceiling. Orochimaru moved his foot to avoid a large stone falling down. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. What an amazing power. It doesn't seem to be inferior to the tailed beasts. This purple energy. It's like chakra, but it feels a bit different. At this critical moment, Uzumaki Faashi immediately activated the preset sealing technique. A large number of golden chains shot towards the source of the dragon vein like arrows off a string, and in the blink of an eye, they blocked the source of the dragon vein. Ho! Uzumaki Faashi's forehead oozed a few drops of sweat, but a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Success. Chapter 330, Remodeling Moby Dick. The all-powerful scientist of the ninja world, Orochimaru. After the turbulent power of the dragon vein was temporarily controlled, Orochimaru began to study the dragon vein. He first used his own finger to gently touch the purple energy of the dragon vein. Orochimaru raised his eyebrows slightly. It's indeed similar to chakra. Perhaps we can use the power of the dragon vein just like we use chakra. An idea flashed through Orochimaru's mind, and he turned to look at Whitebeard. Whitebeard Dono, I suddenly have a somewhat immature idea. I wonder if you would allow me to do it? Whitebeard glanced at Orochimaru. Oh? Let's hear it. Orochimaru said, if the nature of the dragon vein energy is similar to chakra, then we can completely use some special devices to store the energy of the dragon vein. In this way, we can take away a lot of the energy of the dragon vein. After all, if the dragon vein is destroyed, it might cause a serious disaster. Orochimaru chuckled, my method is relatively conservative. Whitebeard doesn't have much concept about what chakra and what energy are. He asked Kakashi, stupid son, what do you think? Kakashi stroked his chin and pondered, it's not impossible to do this, because we can't possibly dig up the entire dragon vein, and we don't know how to dig it up. Recalling the battle when he followed Minato-sensei to the Ruin Ruins for a mission, a flash of inspiration also flashed through Kakashi's mind. That's right. Kakashi said, I remember that the energy of the dragon vein can drive puppets, giving the puppets very powerful strength. The puppet master who fought with Minato-sensei back then did just that. Orochimaru licked his lips, puppets. Hee, there happens to be a pretty good puppet master on Moby Dick. Maybe he can make some puppets to serve as containers for storing the power of the dragon vein. Orochimaru was referring to Sasori. Conan raised an objection. The energy of the dragon vein is so huge, how many puppets need to be made to hold so much dragon vein energy? Naruto raised his hand and interrupted. Yeah, we are going to recruit more than 1,000 crew members. What if so many puppets fill up the ship? Sasuke crossed his arms, his face expressionless. Perhaps we can make a few larger puppets to serve as dragon vein containers, to cope with it. Large puppets. Uzumaki Faashi suggested. I have a rather strange idea. She looked around at everyone, and continued, can we treat the entire Moby Dick as a container? For example, remodel the entire ship. After these words fell, everyone fell silent. The entire dragon vein secret room was silent. Uzumaki Faashi awkwardly said, if you think this proposal is not feasible, then pretend I didn't say it. Actually, it's not impossible. Kakashi stroked his chin. I probably understand what you mean. Is it to transform Moby Dick into a puppet? Uzumaki Fuashi nodded. When Naruto heard this, his eyes almost lit up. Ah. Can it be changed like this? Kakashi said, Pops, I think this suggestion is highly feasible. After all, Moby Dick does need to be remodeled to enhance its defense and attack. After all, this ship was built by a group of ordinary workers using common materials in the ninja world, without too much speciality. We can remodel Moby Dick without changing its appearance. The suggestions from his sons and daughters made Whitebeard fall into some thought. In fact, he also knew that Kakashi was right. The new Moby Dick built in the ninja world actually couldn't compare to his old ship. Sometimes, they would encounter some tricky little ninjas, and during the battle, they had to spare some energy to protect Moby Dick. If they could carry out a major transformation of the Moby Dick, enhancing the performance of this warship, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Moreover, the dragon vein was related to whether he could return to his hometown, even if there was only a slight possibility. Whitebeard wanted to take a gamble. The life of a legendary pirate was all about gambling. Winning every gamble would make him a legendary pirate in the legends. If he lost, well, he could always start over. With such thoughts flashing through his mind, Whitebeard made his decision. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr and continue sailing after Moby Dick is transformed. Just right, there was a scientist and a puppet master on the ship. They didn't even need to go out of their way to find people, there were 2 ready-made talents in the pirate crew. Soon, Whitebeard and others left the Dragon Vein and returned to Moby Dick. Naruto informed everyone on the ship of Whitebeard's decision. For such a decision, everyone was quite surprised, but no one opposed it. Transform Moby Dick. Kisame grinned, he said, can we install a few mechanical legs on this ship, so that I don't need to use ninjutsu to sail on land? Izumi Uchiha was excited, eh? Can we install a few more cannons? Or, can we increase the caliber of the cannons? Karen was surprised, are we going to transform the ship? Hinata weakly said, then. Where will we live during the transformation process? On the entire ship, there might only be one person who held an opposing opinion. That person was not a member of Whitebeard's pirate crew, but a prisoner of the pirate crew. The eyes of Sasori's puppet body were wide open, letting him and Orochimaru transform this ship together? What a joke. Teaching a bunch of Uchiha brats who are as dumb as they can be about puppetry is already the limit of what Sasori can tolerate. After all, when you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head. Now, they want him to transform Moby Dick into a special puppet with that disgusting guy? Sasori couldn't help but look around. This ship is as big as a small mountain, how can it be transformed? The workload is too big, isn't it? I refuse. Sasori gritted his teeth, glaring at Kakashi. Kakashi said lightly, you can't refuse, if you don't want to take this task, maybe you can go talk to Pops. Sasori. Go talk to Whitebeard? Thinking back to Whitebeard's earth-shattering power, Sasori clenched his fists, and the joints of the puppet were creaking. But, that disgusting guy Orochimaru must listen to me. Sasori said in the toughest tone, the most cowardly words, when I'm creating this huge piece of art, you guys can't put forward any bad ideas. Kakashi smiled and said, okay, but Pops is an exception, Pops can put forward transformation ideas. Sasori's breathing became a bit rapid, not knowing what use puppet breathing had. What Sasori hated the most was when his puppet artwork was pointed at and drawn by others, which would give him the urge to go on a killing spree. But thinking that the man was Whitebeard, Sasori held back again. He held back a breath, and said word by word, only Whitebeard. Okay. Kakashi said politely, thank you very much, genius puppet master, for transforming our pirate ship for us. Kakashi's comment genius puppet master made Sasori feel a bit better. TSK. Sasori turned and walked away, saying without looking back. Give me the blueprints for this ship, I'm going to seclude myself for 3 days to draw up a remodeling plan for this ship. Watching Sasori's retreating figure, Kisame came over from the side, marveling. This guy, his attitude is really bad. But, his character is a bit soft, which is quite good. At least, he's not a very stubborn person. Kakashi helplessly said. He is only obedient because he respects Pops. If Pops weren't holding him down, he might have run away already. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, it was 3 days later. It has to be said that Sasori's efficiency is very high. He said he could draw up the remodeling blueprints in 3 days, and he really did it. Stacks of drafts piled up together, a good 10 centimeters thick. Sasori brought a pile of blueprints to Whitebeard. He looked up at Whitebeard. I have a condition. Whitebeard held a wine bowl, drinking it all in one gulp. Oh? Whitebeard looked down at Sasori with a vacant gaze, smiling. Condition? Do you want to take this opportunity to reform and become my son? Sasori was taken aback, then reacted. This guy Whitebeard was actually teasing him. Damn it. Hold it in. No. Sasori tried to keep his tone steady. If I successfully remodel this ship, you will let me go and let me leave here. Otherwise, I won't remodel it. Sasori said firmly. Even if you kill me, I won't remodel it. He wanted to use this opportunity as a bargaining chip to get rid of his prisoner status. Sasori had been feeling very stifled as a prisoner during this period. Even though the people of the Whitebeard pirates didn't deliberately watch him, and didn't restrict his freedom on the ship, it still made Sasori feel very uncomfortable. Sasori didn't know how Orochimaru, that disgusting guy, could be so happy as a prisoner. Maybe that disgusting guy's brain circuit is not the same as normal people. Gorrrr. Whitebeard, with a body full of drunkenness, laughed heartily. Kid, if you can really remodel Moby Dick into an invincible sea battleship, what's wrong with letting you go? I hope you keep your word. Getting Whitebeard's promise, Sasori breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Although he was very unhappy with all the pirates on the ship, Sasori had to admit that every word Whitebeard said was very reliable. Whitebeard would not shoot without reason. Nor would he lie and deceive. In the following period, the Whitebeard pirates' Moby Dick began to undergo a major transformation. Sasori and Orochimaru, one a puppet master, the other a scientist. With their not-so-coordinated cooperation, it took more than a month to finally complete the remodeling plan for Moby Dick. During this period, the most troublesome thing was the materials needed for the transformation. In this vast desert, if you want to get the materials for remodeling the ship, either you have to run thousands of miles to the nearest town to purchase, or simply use local materials. There are still a lot of things in the ruins of Uran that can be used. It's not easy. Orochimaru and Sasori stood together. He looked up at Moby Dick in front of him with interest, and sighed. Not only is it a mental task, but also a physical one. Sasori expressed his dissatisfaction with Orochimaru. Humphrey, if it weren't for you dragging me down halfway, I could have succeeded 10 days ago. Orochimaru chuckled. If I remember correctly, that seems to be your own mistake. How can you blame me? Sasori turned his head away, feeling a bit guilty. But he still stubbornly said, TSK, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have made a mistake. Orochimaru didn't continue to argue with Sasori. Only to hear Sasori continue with a tone of regret. It's a pity, Whitebeard won't let me change the shape of this ship, causing some flaws in my artwork. This is something that Sasori is a bit unhappy about. In his view, the shape of Moby Dick has no sense of design at all. It has nothing to do with the word art. The shape has changed a bit, such as its size is one size larger than before, and the caliber of the cannons on it is also larger than before. Orochimaru chuckled, so. This ship has been completely transformed. Do you want to choose to leave Whitebeard's pirate crew? Sasori said coldly, of course. But before I leave, I have to see what kind of changes will occur when my masterpiece and the power of the Dragon Vein are combined. Obviously, Sasori also became interested in the Dragon Vein. If the power of the Dragon Vein can enhance the puppet, then after Whitebeard's pirate crew leaves here, Sasori will immediately use the power of the Dragon Vein to create a new puppet for himself. He wants to create an anti-Whitebeard puppet. This idea, and the goal, Sasori has never let go. Before, Sasori's confidently built anti-Whitebeard puppet was blown up by Whitebeard, which did not make him feel too discouraged, but instead aroused his fighting spirit. On the other side, Whitebeard was also looking at this brand new Moby Dick. He felt that this ship was much larger than before, and what satisfied Whitebeard was that the appearance did not change. Gorara, those two stupid little brats are quite capable. After Whitebeard laughed heartily, he just jumped onto the deck tens of meters high. The rest of Whitebeard's pirate crew, including Orochimaru and Sasori, two prisoners, also boarded this pirate ship one after another. Without Whitebeard asking, Orochimaru took the initiative to explain, Mr. Whitebeard, the reason why the ship has become much larger is because the center of the pirate ship needs to be used as a storage for the energy of the Dragon Vein. Also, you can see that there are many pipes laid out on the ship. These pipes are also used to store the energy of the Dragon Vein. Orochimaru chuckled. In addition, I have made a small modification to the cannons on the ship. The cannons no longer fire shells, but chakra lasers. I invented a special converter during the transformation process, which can convert chakra into laser light. A chakra amount of a special Jonin level can make a cannon fire once. The power is comparable to 20 explosive tags exploding at the same time, and it has a very long penetration effect. Although the consumption of chakra is a bit high, I think, what Whitebeard's pirate crew is least lacking is chakra. Chapter 331, Absorbing Dragon Veins. Moby Dick, which caused a space-time rift. According to Orochimaru's series of descriptions, Moby Dick has become like this. The entire ship's size has increased by no less than 0.5 times compared to the beginning, and the wooden hull exterior has also been replaced by a special sand-gold metal, which has increased the ship's defense by more than one level. Orochimaru also said that he had conducted an experiment on the ship's defense. The kunai he threw out with all his strength could only leave a white dot on the surface of the ship. This kind of defense can easily withstand the ninjutsu of Geinin and Shunin. The ninjutsu of special Jonin and Jonin can barely be blocked. Kage level? It depends on luck. The dozens of cannons on the ship have also become more powerful chakra cannons, and each chakra cannon requires a special Jonin level ninja to control, so that it can fire powerful laser attack. But because the Whitebeard pirate crew doesn't have that many special Jonin, Orochimaru and Sasori together tinkered with a chakra cannon control console. They just need any random tailed beast Jinchuriki to stand on the console device, constantly inputting tailed beast chakra into the console. The tailed beast chakra will follow the console to connect the chakra cannon's pipeline, and inject into each chakra cannon. Thus achieving the need for only one person, can fill ammunition for dozens of chakra cannons. In addition, there are really 20 puppet mechanical legs installed under the cabin. It's just that these mechanical legs are currently hidden in the cabin. As long as all these mechanical legs come out, they can achieve crawling on land. Even when sailing on the sea, these mechanical legs can also turn into powerful propellers. The only drawback is that these mechanical legs all need a puppet master to control. Fortunately, the Whitebeard pirate crew had the foresight to squeeze a lot of puppetry and puppet control skills from Sasori. At the same time, a huge core container has also been added to the central area of the ship's interior. This core container is made of a very special alloy. The overall appearance is a cylinder. This is also the energy storage of the dragon veins. Orochimaru and Sasori also thoughtfully arranged various types of power systems for Moby Dick. All the kerosene lamps on the ship have been replaced with electric lights. There is also a special engine inside the ship, which can convert chakra into electricity to provide power for Moby Dick. Foolish son, you go up and fire a few shots, see how powerful it is. Whitebeard was obviously most interested in the chakra cannon. He let Naruto go and try these new cannons. Naruto nodded like a pecking chicken, his little face also full of excitement. Okay, Pops. Naruto quickly ran to the chakra cannon's control console. In front of him is a flat panel. The panel has two recessed caves. There is also a manual on how to use the chakra cannon posted next to it. Naruto looked at the manual for a while. He mumbled. Just put your hands into these two holes, and then infuse chakra into the console's device. That's it. It feels so simple. Naruto did as described in the manual. He also specially borrowed a lot of chakra from the Nine Tails, rolling chakra crazily poured into it. At this moment, Naruto was surprised to find that all the chakra he released was actually swallowed by this device. Also at this same time, the dozens of chakra cannons of Moby Dick began to enter the charging stage. You can see that each chakra cannon's muzzle is condensing a ball of blue light. That is obviously a large amount of chakra compressed into this shape. You can also see that each chakra cannon's barrel is slightly trembling, as if it is a bit difficult to withstand this level of energy. Until the condensed and compressed chakra is suddenly released. Whiz 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 whiz, like the buzzing sound of arrows tearing through the air echoing through the sky, it stings everyone's eardrums. Each chakra cannon fired a blue laser. The speed was so fast that people could hardly react. The next second, boom 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 boom, the incessant rumbling sound echoed from the far sides of Moby Dick. Balls of fire appeared out of nowhere, tens, hundreds, even thousands of meters away. That was the laser explosion caused by the chakra cannon hitting the ground. When the explosion's firelight dissipated, one could see the desert in front had been blasted into one pit after another. The diameter of a pit was at least several meters, and the depth was estimated to be several meters as well. Not to mention the layer of sand on top, even the rock layer beneath the sand had been blasted into a large pit. Sasuke's pupils slightly contracted, and a cold face showed a bit of a serious expression. Such speed. Such power. It's almost like the Rasengan used by that idiot Naruto when he was in half-tailed beast mode. If dozens of cannons were aimed at one enemy, that would be equivalent to dozens of Rasengan with tailed beast chakra power smashing onto one person. Sasuke slightly imagined that scene. He felt that even the incredibly defensive Susanoo would probably be blasted with cracks, right? The most critical point is, if the Jinchuriki, who has almost infinite chakra, controls these chakra cannons, then these chakra cannons can attack incessantly. Imagine, If Moby Dick stopped outside a ninja village and used these chakra cannons to bomb the village for an hour, Sasuke really couldn't imagine, would there be an inch of intact land in that ninja village by then? Gorr. Whitebeard also let out a hearty laugh. This is a real battleship. Konan suppressed her surprise. She took a deep look at Orochimaru. When Orochimaru joined the Akatsuki, didn't use his scientific research ability to do anything beneficial for the Akatsuki. But after this guy became a captive of the Whitebeard pirates, he began to exert his scientific research ability. Konan had mixed feelings in her heart. What's wrong with the Akatsuki? At least they could give Orochimaru a free body. As a result, Orochimaru didn't want to serve the Akatsuki, but instead worked for the Whitebeard pirates. Konan didn't understand what Orochimaru was thinking. Interesting. When Kisame showed a smile, his mouth full of sharp teeth made his smile very ferocious. These dozens of chakra cannons are comparable to thousands of ninja army. He glanced at Orochimaru, then looked at Sasori, TSK, as expected of being one of the Sannin of Hidden Leaf Village, and also worthy of being a genius puppet master of Hidden Sand Village, really two dangerous men. Shikamaru's forehead was covered with layers of cold sweat. He and Chaji, Sakura and others, never had a chance to return to Hidden Leaf Village, they had always stayed on Moby Dick. What a formidable weapon. Shikamaru felt that the times had changed. Could this ship be equivalent to a Kage? Gorr. You guys. Dock the ship near the ruins and load up that dragon vein. Whitebeard, in a good mood, laughed and gave the order. The first voyage of the remodeled Moby Dick was controlled by Sasori. As the ship's body trembled slightly, one after another puppet mechanical legs stretched out from under Moby Dick, the mechanical legs propped up the ground, and forcibly lifted the entire ship. Bang. 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 With the rhythmic steps of the puppet mechanical legs moving forward, Moby Dick began to move, and directly destroyed a piece of ruins in front, rushing to the deepest part of the ruins. The speed of the puppet mechanical legs moving forward was not slower than Kisame's water-style, land boat technique, and the ship's body was very stable during the process of moving forward. All one could say was, the science of the ninja world, it's shocking. Meanwhile, deep in the ruins, one by one, the original inhabitants of looked in horror at the Moby Dick that had broken into the ruins. Such a large monster came in, they didn't even dare to think about stopping it. They could only stare blankly as the Moby Dick broke into the underground chamber above the dragon vein. The members of the Whitebeard pirates began to get busy. They brought down special hoses from the ship. Each hose was connected to a dragon vein energy container at the other end. Orochimaru, as long as this end of the hose is inserted into the source of the dragon vein, the power of the dragon vein will flow into the container along the pipe. Tsunade held a hose, looking at Orochimaru with doubt. This is too simple. Orochimaru chuckled and replied, the energy properties of the dragon vein and chakra are not much different. Humans can now play with chakra in the simplest way, the energy of the dragon vein. Hey, it's just like that. Orochimaru's words highlighted a confidence. Tsunade chose to believe him for the time being. Soon, Uzumaki Fuashi opened the source of the dragon vein, and everyone immediately put the hose into the source of the dragon vein. In an instant, the gushing purple energy rose up along the hoses like a tide. The hoses were all bulging like overstuffed pythons. The energy of the dragon vein was pouring into the Moby Dick at an incredible speed. The dazzling purple light reflected on everyone's faces. What an amazing energy fluctuation. Sasori gradually became excited. He murmured to himself, if the power of the dragon vein is used as the power core of a puppet, that would be the unparalleled greatest art. Orochimaru was not very interested in the dragon vein. After all, it couldn't make him immortal. In Orochimaru's view, the role of the dragon vein could only let the Whitebeard pirates and others know his ability. As long as he shows the ability to move Whitebeard's heart, he can firmly bind himself to the Whitebeard pirates. In less than 5 minutes, the container device on the Moby Dick was completely filled with dragon vein energy. Everyone also immediately withdrew the hoses. Uzumaki Fuashi decisively used the sealing technique to control the restless power of the dragon vein. A group of people returned to the ship again. Has anything strange happened on the ship? Tsunade looked around curiously. She muttered, it doesn't seem to have changed at all. Isn't it said that this dragon vein has the power to travel through time and space? Kakashi scratched his head, maybe. We still don't know how to use the power of the dragon vein. Kakashi glanced at Whitebeard and found that Pops was silent. Perhaps, Pops is a bit disappointed now? After all, before this, Pops was quite hopeful that the power of the dragon vein could open a path for him to return to his hometown. What a pity. Sigh. Kakashi sighed in his heart, just as he was about to comfort Pops. The Moby Dick suddenly shook violently. The sudden violent movement scared some of the sailors on the ship. What's going on? Neji immediately frowned and asked Sasori suspiciously, "Hey. Your modification didn't go wrong, did it?" Sasori couldn't accept a kid questioning his artwork. He glared at Neji. "Kid, watch your mouth, my artwork can't go wrong." As soon as Sasori's words fell, the Moby Dick shook several more times, the shaking was very exaggerated, and the planks on the ship were creaking. "Humphrey, even if there is a problem, it's not my fault, it must be that disgusting guy's fault." This time, Sasori didn't dare to guarantee. He said solemnly, "I'll go down and check." However, before Sasori could take a few steps forward, the ship moved uncontrollably. This time it wasn't shaking, but uncontrollably moving forward. Such a strange anomaly made everyone realize the seriousness of the problem. Izumi Uchiha immediately shouted, "All non-ninja ordinary people, retreat to the cabin." After shouting, Izumi Uchiha couldn't help but grab the railing next to her. Because she found that Moby Dick's uncontrollable forward rush was too fast. The speed was so fast that the wind coming head-on made her eyes almost unable to open. Moby Dick's forward rush speed has far exceeded the speed of a jonin on the road. The sky full of yellow sand was rolled up hundreds of meters high, and waves of airwaves spread in all directions. The sails were also shaking violently, and the whole ship was falling apart. The ruins of Uran have been thrown a kilometer behind. "Pops. What should we do?" This unknown situation made Naruto a little at a loss. Whitebeard, holding Murakamagiri, stood like an iron tower at the bow of Moby Dick. He squinted his eyes and looked down at the purple light permeating the deck gap. If Whitebeard didn't guess wrong, this should be the power of the dragon veins, affecting the entire Moby Dick. "Let it run," Whitebeard said in a deep voice. "Foolish son, hold on tight, don't get thrown off the ship." If a pirate gets thrown off the ship, that would really be a laughing stock. Because of Whitebeard's observation hockey, he didn't sense any dangerous premonitions. Moreover, Whitebeard had a strange subconscious premonition in the dark. His subconscious told him not to stop Moby Dick. To be honest, Whitebeard hasn't had such a strange premonition for a long time. He chose to believe in his own premonition. A few seconds later, the purple light overflowing from the deck was already bright enough to make people's eyes almost unable to open. The dazzling purple light wrapped the entire Moby Dick. When Moby Dick's violent rush speed reached several times the speed of sound, the purple light seemed to be comparable to a purple sun. Until a loud roar echoed for tens of kilometers around. Invisible airwaves spread in all directions, destroying all sand and stone. Moby Dick suddenly disappeared, only leaving a sand pit with a diameter of a kilometer. Chapter 332, Pirate World. Moby Dick that can travel back and forth. The people of the Whitebeard pirate crew didn't know what strange changes had happened to Moby Dick. The moment this battleship suddenly disappeared in the ninja world, everyone felt that the scene they saw in front of them was spinning around. They all had a sense of losing their sense of direction, and the strong dizziness was not only for the brain, but also seemed to be for the soul. The picture that can be seen in front of you is also turned into a stream of rotating and retreating light, which is difficult to describe in words. This kind of strange feeling, they don't know how long it lasted. It could be 10 seconds, or it could be half a minute. That kind of dizziness made no one on the ship able to perceive the concept of time and space. Suddenly, the dizziness disappeared, and the people on the pirate ship could finally take a breather. Ugh! Chaji, leaning on the railing of the ship, leaned out of the ship and vomited, vomiting all the things he ate this morning. He vomited so much that his chubby little face was pale. So dizzy. Ugh! Obviously, not only Chaji had such a reaction. Lee, Sakura, Shikamaru, Fu, and a group of survivors of the Uchiha clan, and a group of sailors doing odd jobs on the ship, were all like this. What the hell is going on? Shikamaru's face was full of discomfort, but just then, the sound of surging waves came, making him stunned. The faintly fishy sea breeze came head-on, causing Shikamaru's eyes to widen. He looked up incredulously and found that there was no longer a desolate desert in front of him, but a vast blue sea. Shikamaru was dumbfounded. Did the ship just run too fast, directly out of the desert, and ran into the sea? But the next second, he denied his own guess. Impossible, unless the speed of the ship can reach the speed of light, otherwise it can't run that fast. Could it be the dragon vein? Shikamaru had been on the ship these days, so he naturally knew about the dragon vein. On the other side, Kakashi rubbed his temples. Although he didn't vomit like those little devils, the dizzy feeling also made him feel very uncomfortable. Kakashi looked around, he was dumbfounded. This is... Looking around, all sides were a vast ocean. Could it be that the power of the dragon vein to traverse time and space has brought us back to a year ago? Kakashi made a guess. After all, the Whitebeard pirates were indeed sailing on the sea a year ago. The possibility is not great. Conan next to him pondered and said, Could it be that the dragon vein can not only make time go backwards, but also let us run from the land of wind to the sea in the blink of an eye? Even if we go back to a year ago, we should still be in the land of wind, not on this unfamiliar sea. Kisame first swept a circle of Moby Dick, and after finding that there were no casualties, he looked into the distance. Kisame suddenly squinted his eyes, his mouth hooked up a smile, and said, I think we will soon know what this place is. Tsunade, who was holding her head on the side, complained, Stop being so pretentious, just say what you found. Kisame frankly said, I saw a small black dot in the distance. If I didn't guess wrong, that should be a ship. Why don't we go over and ask the people on the ship, then we will know. Kisame began to order the sailors on the ship, and a group of sailors began to hustle anxiously. Pops, what's wrong with you? Sasuke keenly noticed that Pops was standing still and didn't say a word, which made him feel a bit abnormal. Whitebeard's face had a thoughtful look, he replied, thinking about something, but the answer will be known soon. Under Whitebeard's observation haki, he also sensed the ship in the distance. Moreover, Whitebeard clearly felt that the breaths on the ship hull had a very majestic sense of vitality. This is a kind of breath that the glass cannon ninja kids in the ninja world rarely have. Whitebeard's eyes flashed with a sharp light. He had a hopeful guess. Foolish son, go and see what the situation of the dragon vein energy in that container is. Whitebeard said. Sasuke was stunned, and hurriedly lowered his head. Okay, Pops. He hurriedly pulled Naruto and ran into the cabin together. The two came to the dragon vein container. When Sasuke looked up, he was startled. Why is there so much less dragon vein energy?